or this is the work our sanitarians are called to do. This is true science. And that was taken from manuscript 105. And this was August 26, 1898. We have been instructed that in our treatment of the sick, we should discard the use of drugs. They are simple herbs that can be used in the recovery of the sick, whose effect upon the system is very different from those drugs that poison the blood and endanger life. I have been shown that we should have many more women who can deal especially with the diseases of women. Many more lady nurses who will treat the sick in a simple way and without the use of drugs. This doesn't mean nurse. It could be any female. As long as you're willing to learn simple remedies, you can. There are many simple herbs which, if our nurses would learn the value of, they could use in the place of drugs and find very effective. That's letter number 90 that was written in 1906. And I'm going to stop there for today. So those of you who came in afterwards, I did show how to make a charcoal poultice. Now, charcoal is very messy. You have to be very careful when you're taking it out of the container. You have to be very careful when you're mixing it. But the end product is beautiful. Now, for those of you who saw me put the water in and the charcoal in and the psyllium husk in, this is what the end product is. You see how it's nice and gelatinous? And that is what I now place in the Ziploc bag, all right? In the Ziploc bag, you can use your hand to just spread it around. You put this in the freezer. Someone gets a cut, you put it on there. Someone has a fever, you put it on their chest. Someone has stomach ache, you put it on their abdomen. Okay. And so we can use simple remedies to help heal our body. Now, we're very thankful to God for providing all the things that we need. But remember, you have to be diligent. And number one, starting the treatment early and not waiting until more complications fester and then now want to get a quick cure. Natural remedy is not a quick fix. It's going to take a couple months. But if you always do it, you will prevent your body from becoming ill. And if you do become ill, you will recover sooner than if you weren't doing it all along. At this time, I'm going to ask Davina to pray for us so we can finish our devotion.
Mr. Mottle, can I use that on a tumor?
Yes.
Do we take it from the bag, or we take it from the bag and put it on?
You put it in the fridge. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is for the benefit of those who came in after. You put it in the fridge, and once it's solid, you remove the plastic, and then you put it directly on the skin.
Okay,
this is just to help it form. So you're not going to put the plastic on it. The plastic is just form it. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. And that was Sister John. Could you pray first? I don't think Davina heard me.
Loving Father, our God in heaven, we are so grateful and thankful that you love us so much. We thank you for showing your love to us through nature and through all these natural remedies, even to the food preparation that we have gone through for the past 2 weeks. Thank you for showing us your love in even the sun. We bless your holy name because you are mighty, you are everlasting. You are the God who is true, and you're the God who heals. So we thank you for all the healing that you stretch forth your hands to heal us. We pray that you will bless us with that faith and increase our faith, that our faith will be so strong that, Father, we will stand for your righteousness. We will stand for your holiness. We will stand because Jesus Christ has given us the privilege to stand. Thank you for hearing our prayers. Thank you for the forgiveness of our sins. And as we proceed on the next activity, we pray that you will continue to abide with us, and as you open our hearts, help us to learn, help us to retain, and as we retain, help us not to keep it, but Lord, we will share it with others. In Jesus' precious name, we want to thank you and we praise you. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Davina, over to you.
Myrtle, just before you go, good morning. One question, please.
Put the question in the chat so I can
Just,
answer it.
just want to make sure I have the combinations correct. So it's 2 cups of water to 1 cup of charcoal, right?
Put your question in the chat, Sister Magali.
Okay,
So
no
Martha can
problem.
answer you. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Oh, sorry. It's morning for me. It's afternoon for you. I hope you've all had a lovely morning so far. And today's lesson, I would say that making tofu is sort of getting to the ultimate of food science, right? And just a reminder or enlightenment for those who don't know, food and nutrition is actually food science, right? It's not just an art. So a lot of people think it's an art. It's actually a science. And making tofu will teach you. Making the tofu and a lot of these stuff that we have done so far and will be doing will show you more and more how much of a science this subject actually is. When I was in uni, I was surprised. I had to do so many chemistry subjects just to do this course, right? I had to be in the chemistry lab year after year, putting concoction together and understanding chemical formulas. And while you couldn't I couldn't fathom the purpose of it then, just like how I couldn't fathom why I had to do maths. I think most people is in my shoes that, why do you have to do maths if you're not trying to do accounts or if you're not trying to be a maths teacher or something like that, You want to do food and nutrition. Why do you need to do maths? No, now that I'm in the kitchen, maths is now a very practical subject in my life. Your measurements, that's like maths off the bat. I mean, just a lot of aspect of maths, even algebra that made absolutely no sense in high school and in uni has come in very handy in the kitchen, and I can see its purposefulness. And likewise, food science. As we go through, we will see how more and more it is a science. It is a science subject. Now, a little bit of history about tofu. It is eaten widely in the Asian community. It's been in the community for over like 2,000 years. And how did somebody ever find out about this? All right. So someone accidentally put coagulant with soya milk and realized that it forms something, right? That's how it came about. And that's how we and if they press it, it forms in a block, and you can actually eat that as it is. And they obviously developed on it over the years, as it is very much a part of their culture, and developed different types of tofu, different textures and even flavors. And yes, tofu is still one of the very hardest things that a vegan will try to make from scratch, but it is one of the most amazing skill when you learn it, when you get it. And I must say that if you do your tofu today and you don't get it right, don't give up. Keep going, right? Just follow the very same principles, because different things sometimes can affect the outcome of your tofu. So just to say a few of the textures that we may have, that you may see in the shops, you may see silken tofu, you may see soft tofu, you may see firm, you may see extra firm. I've even seen extra, extra firm. Of course, that is in America. That likes to go the extra, extra mile with everything. But sometimes you see flavored tofu. You may see smoked tofu. You may see tofu with things like olives or sun-dried tomato, which they have some really nice flavor. While we won't be doing so much any of that today in this class, it is something that you can experiment with. And I'll give you a bit of idea what you can do at the end, so you can do that as a bit of a homework to experiment with some flavored tofu after you've gotten the basic tofu right. Even if it is one type of the basic tofu, then you can go and experiment. Are people still trying to sign in? I can't see anyone trying to sign in, but I'm getting a message. Okay. So, silken tofu, it means that it really has not been pressed as yet. So it's just a fresh tofu from preparation. It has not been pressed. Soft tofu is basically silken tofu, but it has been pressed a little bit of pressing. Maybe about 10 minutes to 15 minutes of pressing will give you a nice soft tofu. Tofu, as most of us, or some of us would have already known, is very much used in a lot of dishes as a dairy alternative. So you can get in your puddings, like we made with tofu cheesecake. You can use it in, you can make it into cream, heavy cream, whipped cream, double cream, single cream. You can make it into pies. You can use it in mayonnaise and sauces. You can use it into your salad dressings, your dips, ice creams. You can use it even into your smoothies. And yes, you can use your tofu into your smoothies. I don't know if any of my colleagues are able to help to let people in as they try to enter, because, yeah.
I've actually let them in, Davina.
Oh, you are? Okay, all right, cool. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah. Your cheeses, so tofu is used to make cheese as well. It is used as cream replacement in a lot of dishes, and it is even used, you can use it also to make yogurt, right? So your silken tofu is the kind of tofu that you would use when you want to kind of melt in your mouth, you know, kind of texture. Ooh. When you want to kind of melt in your mouth kind of texture. So you do like your chocolate mousse, you know, and when you bite on it, just go, that kind of disappears in your mouth. That's when you use your silken tofu. I have someone keep calling me. Right. Now, the softer your tofu, it means that the higher is the water content, and it also means that it has the least amount of protein. Now, to use tofu in dishes where you need the protein content to, for example, turn it from tofu into mayonnaise, you need it to have a high protein content. For certain dishes, you need to have you need to have use firm tofu or extra firm tofu instead of the soft tofu. Now, regular tofu, or sometimes also called medium tofu, that is pressed for a little bit longer than soft. So, and that is often used for things like your scrambled egg. You would use your medium tofu for. However, I must say that I actually use my soft tofu sometimes for scrambled eggs, right? It just depends. You can use it, but the best tofu actually for the scrambled egg is medium to extra firm for your scrambled egg. But you can use a soft tofu to make a scrambled egg. It looks very fluffy, like almost like, you know, when you go to your Sunday brunch and you get that egg that is mixed with a little milk, meat with a little milk in it, and it's very fluffy. It sort of gives you that sort of texture. All right, extra firm tofu is the best tofu that you want to use for your cooking, like especially when you have to dice something up, you want to use it for your stews, you probably want to lightly dust it and fry it. This is when you want to use something like your extra firm tofu, because it holds up better in cooking, it lasts longer, and it also absorbs the flavors easier. So it is ideal for things like your meat protein dishes. Now, when you make your tofu, there are a few things that I just want to tell you from now, a few questions and answers, or maybe we can look at these afterwards, right? But as I said before, try and use, if you're going to make tofu today with soybeans, try and use the yellow soybeans instead of the white. You can soak them. So people soak their tofu, their soybeans, anywhere from 4 hours to 24 hours. This is my personal experience, right? 8 hours is just the best, the ideal length of time to soak them. I do find that soaking them longer than 10 hours, they get rubbery unless I have been getting poor quality tofu, which is also a possibility. But I find that they get rubbery and they're a bit harder to use after that. So I soak them for about 8 hours normally, and that's it. I try not to go over 8-10 hours maximum. All right. So when you're making the tofu, ideally you want to have your milk ready because it's quite a long process, right? So you want to have the milk ready first. You can either use store-bought milk or you can make your own milk. Now you need to have a coagulant, right? And tofu is very simple. Sometimes two ingredients, sometimes three. Okay. So listen, guys. This is a class time that has started, and if you keep chatting in the chat, in the group, and in the chat about still the devotional stuff or other stuff, and you miss what I'm saying, I may not go over it because I'm going to keep moving ahead for those who are following. So please pay attention. There's a lot to be covered, and we want to get through everything. So focus on the lesson, focus on the information that I am giving. The information I'm giving, because you may need to ask me this. You may find yourself asking the very thing that I've just said as the lesson goes on. So please just see if you can focus for a little bit, right? Once you're making a tofu, you need to have a coagulant. What are the typical and the most traditional coagulant that is used is gypsum. Now, this is not a gypsum that you go to your hardware and lumber store to buy. No, this gypsum, you have to buy food grade gypsum, right? Food grade gypsum. And you can get this at places like where you probably won't find yourself anyway, places like wine brewery. You may find this. You could probably find this also at some chemist. But easiest thing to get any of this stuff is just to go on Amazon, go online and just order them, or eBay, and order, just type in food grade well, even if it is the Epsom salt that you're going to use, you still need to order the food grade Epsom salt. And I must say, I've had people using the normal Epsom salt that you would use for bathing. They've used it and they are still alive today, and it works, but I don't recommend it because when it is not food grade, it means it may not be as clean. So you could find, any little thing in it that probably would not have affected your body when you're bathing in it, but surely you wouldn't want to be swallowing that. So that's just the difference between the food grade gypsum and the food grade Epsom salt, is they're a bit cleaner. 1 second. Yeah. So you want to have a coagulant, which is the Epsom salt, or the gypsum, or some people use vinegar, but because we don't promote the use of vinegar in this class, because we need our stomach acid to remain acidic, because that's the way it will break down the foods that we eat, and the vinegar is gonna neutralize your stomach acid. So you will find, and this is what I've even discovered in my practice, a lot of times people who drink vinegar water in the morning, they develop stomach problems eventually. All right. So for that reason, as well as the fact that it is mentioned in Ellen White's book as in making the blood feverish. So as a result, we don't necessarily take vinegar internally. I mean, there are situations if you are a naturopath or medical missionary, or you recommend stuff, there are situations where you may need to recommend it to clients, especially if they have like cancer or stuff like that. But it's normally at nights when they don't have any eating to do. There'll be the process of digestion is completely over and they don't need any stomach acid. So in that situation, it is different. But under normal circumstances, we try not to put any vinegar in our food. Full stop. Besides the fact that, as I learned recently, like the white wine vinegar and stuff like that, they're made from alcohol. So the apple cider vinegar, either one of them makes a blood feverish. So, and the alkaline, the digestive juice, which you need your hydrochloric acid to be acid. All right, so you can use your lime juice, which is what we're going to use in this class today. If you already had ordered gypsum, you can use that, but you can use it, you can give it a try. But lime juice works perfectly well. And personally, I don't like using the bottle lime juice, and I don't even normally recommend it because it has sulfite in it, which is used as a preservative. But in terms of consistency and acidity, normally it actually works sometimes better than the lemons, because sometimes you may get lemons and the acidity just varies. It's not consistent. So, but that's a minor matter because I've never used lemons and it has never ever failed me. I've always used lemons and it has never ever failed me in terms of curdling my milk and getting that way. I've always had success with the lemons, but most people, especially when you're doing it commercially, especially when it is being done commercially, they like to use the bottled lemon. Now, if you add too much coagulant, right, to your tofu, or if it is added too quickly, this can affect the texture of your tofu. So if you find yourself with crumbly tofu, there are a few things that could cause that, and that is one of them: adding the coagulant too quickly or too much of the coagulant. So whatever the recipe calls for, that's exactly the amount that we need to use, right? If the curds are also stirred or later too roughly, so once the milk curds, you have to be very gentle with it, right? And let me just show you a picture. Let me send a few pictures to the group of what the curd milk should be looking like. And there you go. That's the curd milk. And you want to make sure that you don't over mix it, right? You want to be very gentle with it when you're stirring it and when you're gonna ladle it, in the cheesecloth to press it out. You want to make sure that you're handling it very gently. Otherwise, it could get imbalanced, and then you find yourself with some crumbly tofu. One thing that I need you to note about Epsom salt: if you use too much of it, it can give your tofu a bitterish taste. Now you can use Epsom salt, because I use my Epsom salt, but you make sure you follow the recipe to the T. Don't use too much, otherwise it can get a bitterish taste, right? All right. When you want to make, okay, so this bit is for later on. The other tofu coagulant that is actually very easy to find in most Asian shops is the nigari, right? And as I mentioned yesterday, it is extracted from seawater, and it is basically magnesium chloride. And the gypsum is calcium sulfate. So citric acid can also be used, but this is my personal experience with citric acid. I've used it over and over and over, and it has never ever worked for me. So it may work for you. Others have used it in my classes and it has worked for them, but unless it's this bag of citric acid that I have, which I did purchase at the Asian shops, maybe it is not what it is, but it does not work in that respect for me in terms of curdling my milk but it does work in terms of giving that acidity flavor as in lemon replacement. So when I'm making dishes like my mayonnaise that I want a little bit of acid to, or cheese, it works well in that, but it never curdles the milk. It has never curdled the milk for me. So my lemon works, and it works perfectly well, and I use it all the time with success. All right, so now on the group, I've sent you a few guidelines, right, for recipes. Now, let me see. Let me see the hands of those who will be using soya milk. By the way, let me go on gallery view so I can see. Only Dawn will be using soya milk?
I'm using soya milk.
And Valerie, okay. Oh, I mean your blue hand, your on the screen hand. So I can oh, there's two pages now. Let me go on the next page. That's it. Out of 36 people, I have 2 persons using soya milk when it is tofu day. That doesn't sound like we are ready for the class.
Sorry, Davina.
Yeah.
It's Harriet. I'm not cooking today.
Okay, Harriet. All right, you're not cooking today. Is there anybody else on? So Enoch is using soya milk. All right, wonderful, Enoch. All right, could you lower your hands now, the 3 who are using the soya milk? If you lower your hands, please. Thank you.
Sister Davina,
Yeah. Yes.
I would love to cook. Unfortunately, I'm at work, so I will do mine later. I'm just watching you in and out.
All right, cool. All right, the other question is, Galaxy S9, if you lower your hand, or if you have a question, you could ask it quickly.
Yes, I'm saying, you mean soya milk as in pack or as from the bin?
Who is this, Junior Mayor?
Yes.
Is your new name Galaxy?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It appears as Galaxy 9, but normally there would be my name on it.
All right, I'm renaming you so we can know who we are talking to, all right?
Yes.
Junior, I'm naming you Junior.
Yes.
All right, sorry.
So I'm saying that you mean soya milk as from soya bean?
Well, yes, that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm using it.
Okay, all right, cool. So that's 4 persons using the soya milk. You can lower your hand now, Junior. Please, lower your hand. Excellent. Can I ask those who will be using white beans to raise their hand, their blue hand, white beans? And there's another Galaxy S9?
Yes, that's Pat.
Pat?
Pat Richards. Pat R.
Pat R. All right. When you enter the classroom, can you all name yourself? So I am naming you Pat R.
Doesn't it stay on your thing? Because you've named me 3 times now, I think, over.
No, what came up is Galaxy S9. So for the white bean, I have, let me just jot down the names of who is doing the white bean. So white bean, I have Coral, I have Pat,
Yeah.
and I have Alexandra. All right, and for soya, I had Enoch, I had Junior, and
Dawn.
Dawn. There was one more person who was doing soya, but we'll know in due time. All right, so lower your hands now. Lower your hands, Coral,
I'm
please.
doing the white beans.
Who just said they're doing the white beans? Margaret.
Me? Yes, please. Yes, white beans. Thanks.
Okay, all right. So those who are Myrtle is doing soya. Okay. All right. So those who are gonna do chickpeas, raise your hand, please. Those who will be doing chickpeas, raise your hand. Okay, so Myrtle, I saw yours. You're doing soya. All right, so chickpeas, we've got Nicole. We've got Valda. And we've got Junior Mayo again doing chickpeas. Junior. Okay. All right, so 3 for the chickpeas. Right? Okay, you can now lower your hands. Those who will be doing another milk, none of the above. Junior, could you lower your hand, please? Okay. All right. Those who will be doing none of the above milks, but you're making a complete different milk.
I'm doing chickpeas. I made a mistake to say soya. I'm doing chickpeas. I got confused between soya and chick. So
You got confused. So I need to cross you off the soya list.
Yes, I'm doing chickpeas.
Okay.
Davina, sorry, Davina, you said white soya beans, but I'm using the yellow ones.
No, I said yellow soya beans.
I thought you said white. I'm doing a soya bean.
No, sorry. I said who is doing white beans? White beans is different from soya beans.
Oh, white beans. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you're doing soya beans, right, Elaine?
Yeah, yellow soya beans.
All right, so that's clearer. If there is anyone who is making from a different beans, like if anybody felt adventurous and wanted to use the black beans, is there anybody else who is using from a different bean today on the group here on this platform? No, I don't see any hands raised. Okay, in that case, we will be covering just these 3 milks for today, right? So firstly, I'm going to start with the soya bean, right? The soya milk, soya tofu, and then we're going to do the white bean and then the chickpeas. All right, and then we're going to look at how we can use the okara, and you'll get a few homework from that. I'll show you some finished products, and then you get some homework. So from your soya bean, let me see if... did you watch the video for the soya beans? The Enoch, Elaine, and Dawn, did you watch the video for the soya milk? And have you made your milk, or have you got shop-bought milk?
No, sorry, not watched it yet. Just got the bean still.
Yes, we made our own soya milk and soya tofu.
Okay, all right. Dawn, you've got your milk. Enoch has got his milk. Elaine, what did you say?
I'm still at the bean stage, but I can use soya milk if it's going to be easier.
No, it will be best for you right now just to get your box of soya milk and open it.
Okay.
And you can throw it in the pot. All right. Okay. So all right, now what we're gonna do, we want to curdle our milk. So ideally, right, you want to have about 1.5. When I curdle my soya, I use a whole box of milk. This is when I'm using the shop-bought milk, and there's a reason for that. So let me just explain to you why, right? So I know the recipe that I send will be a little bit different from what I'm telling you now. Once I'm using shop-bought milk, I use a whole box because they don't have as much protein as when you make your own soya milk at home, right? And for example, when you look at recipes that say soya milk and different types of milks, you will find that they're using you find the majority of them will say to 1 cup of soya bean, you should use 3 cups. You've just burnt your soya milk. Ooh la 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 la. Okay. You've got to get it out of that pot quickly. You've got to get out of that pot quickly. Get it out of that pot quickly. Put it in a different pot. Do not stir it. You don't want the bottom bit up. Just throw it in another pot as quickly as possible. Leave it open. Peel a piece of lime and just put that skin in it. That will help to get that burnt flavor out. Hoping it didn't burn that badly, right? All right, so when I use a shop bought soy milk, I use a whole liter of the soy milk. And that's because the shop bought soy milk, they don't have enough proteins in them, and they have other. I smell gas. Check if oven everything is turned off, please. Um, yes, sometimes the additives that they have in it. Have you ever, for example, take up a box of almond milk from the shop and see how much percentage of almond is in this white milk? It's like exactly what have they put in it to make it so white. It's only like 2%. A good one will have like 2.2%. It's like, seriously. Don't even bother to go down the route of how much you pay for a box, because it literally grieves me, all right? It angers me how much you pay for a box and there's like 2.2% of almonds. So as a result, for years in England, I just ate my almonds. Right? I wouldn't buy almond milk. Right, so as a result, I just use a whole liter box of soy milk and I curdle that. So I get a lot of curdle, right? I get a lot of curdle when I curdle the box. And now you can make a really nice good tofu. And while this is not the lesson, that very same curdle can also be used in making butters and clotted cream and stuff like that, right? Which is a different lesson for another day. But this curdle, when it is curdled like that, and you take it out, you basically have tofu. That curdle right there is, you can put that in a bottle and then you can steam that. That is your silken tofu, right? It's very loose, but it works very well in things like soups. So I did a soup recently with that. Let me share what that looks like. And a very nice recipe, which I'm going to tell you right now, which you can write it down for that soft tofu like that, is have some tamari sauce, or if you use, what's the alternative to tamari? Soya sauce. Soya sauce with garlic chopped up in it, or you could use garlic powder. You could have some onion powder as well, or some finely, you could put the garlic in the food processor. That's how fine you want it, right? Like a proper mush. And ginger you can use together. And if you have something like even a little bit of honey and some cayenne pepper, you can add that to that sauce. Whip it all up. And you throw your tofu in that marinade. And then you eat that with things like, you could actually have that with your nice clear soup, like a broth, right? And there you go, a picture of that. So you can have that in your clear soups like a broth, or you could literally serve that with rice. It's very common. John, your hand is up. What are you making? Or have you got a question?
I have a question. You mentioned soya sauce, and I was wondering, what is your thoughts on Bragg's Amino?
What are my thoughts on Bragg's Amino? I use it. It's not something that I use every day. Let's say, for example, I came here in August and I have one bottle since August, and I opened it last week and I've used it once. So that's to show you how often I use it.
So you would prefer tamari or soya sauce over Bragg's Amino?
No, it's your personal preference.
Okay.
Yeah, I personally don't use soya sauce because I have a wheat intolerance. Yeah, so in my previous life, I had gut issues. So as a result, I stay away from yeast and I stay away from wheat. I don't even go near it, right? Because of my previous health issues. And while I'm over that now, I still stay clear. right? So that's my reason for using an alternative. And to be quite frank with you, I didn't even buy them to use for myself. I just buy them to use for the class, for presentation, for demonstration purposes. In my very own personal diet, I don't normally share my very personal diet with people because it's a bit boring. All right?
You can share it with me.
Well, I've actually shared it in this class. So it is fruits and nuts for breakfast. Very rarely I will have something else, especially something cooked, very rarely. And then for dinner, it's normally a massive size salad. So like the salads that you see I've made, it's normally one of them. And maybe some cooked beans or grains or something cooked after that. But I will just boil the beans with salt and I will have that. So I'm good like that. But if I am having somebody for dinner, of course I pull out the stops.
That's true.
Yeah, because I don't want to put them off.
Do you do herbal tea?
If I do
Herbal tea.
almond tea, I don't even do tea.
Herbal, like herb tea.
No, I don't either.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't. But if I have, sometimes if you feel like there is something happening in your gut or something happening in the body that you want to address, then that's when I take herbs. But I don't take herbs if nothing is wrong with me. I don't go and just take them because they don't taste nice.
Yeah,
All right?
Okay, thank you for sharing your diet.
Okay, all right. All right, so I have 3 hands, Alexandra and Dawn.
Yeah. Is the tamari sauce gluten-free?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I want to ask you, what do you usually have for dinner?
Oh, that's what I'm telling you. I start with a salad, so I will show you dinner today because I have dinner ready already.
Okay.
Yes, I have dinner ready already. So let me just take a picture. All right, so that's a part of dinner in the group, and I have some pita bread, but I'm gonna have to make that after the class. So for those who are not knowing what I'm talking about, let me just quickly share. So there is dinner. So that is when you make your soya milk, you have what is called the okara. When you make your bean, when you make the soya milk from the soya bean, you have what is called the okara, which is a husk basically of the soya bean or the trash, which whatever you want to call it, that we tend to just throw away. What this is, I didn't make soya milk, but I made chickpea milk and I made almond milk. So I've got the almond and the chickpea, I call it okara, right? So I've got the almond and the chickpea husk mixed together here with a little bit of psyllium husk, flaxseed meal, salt, maybe some dried thyme, maybe a few dried herbs. And I've got that mixed together right there, and I've made those balls, and that's fried. I have some here that I put in the oven. Oh, I haven't got it here, but I put some in the oven. But when the young people tasted it, they requested that it comes out of the oven and it is all fried. So I'll be eating all what you call this now, balls, okara balls for dinner today with this nice creamy mayo flavor sauce, which is also made from my chickpea milk. So that's my chickpea milk that I've used to blend that with some oil. I didn't even look which oil I used. Maybe, I know it wasn't the coconut oil, but it's a lighter kind of oil. It wasn't the olive oil. And with some egg salt and some garlic powder. I did put a little bit of turmeric in it, but it still come out white. It did not take the color of the turmeric. And that's what I've got there. And that goes with that. And I've got some pita bread dough made up. And my pita bread is made up of dark rye, coconut flour, flax meal, and I believe maybe almond flour, or it may have been chickpea flour, but chickpea flour it was. Yeah. So and yogurt. So I made some yogurt last night from one of my milk as well that I made. And I mean the yogurt is a full set because obviously it needs more than 8 hours, and I did do it late, but because the young people requested some pita bread to go with this for dinner, I have just used the yogurt without it being completely set. I've just used it, so let's see what my bread is gonna come out like. And let me just show you the yogurt. So I used the milk for the yogurt. I didn't make the thick. I didn't make the thick cream-like thing for the yogurt. I used the milk. So I made 2 types of yogurt. So I just showed the picture there. So this is the one with the pepper. You can see the texture is slightly different. And this one is just the pure milk with the leftover, with the water that the chickpeas was soaked with. So I put these on about 8:30, 9 o'clock last night. I put them and I left them, and there it is. I've used it. This is when I came out this morning. It was looking like this. So it was forming nicely. Just that it didn't get to stay the 18 to 36 hours that it is supposed to stay. And this one is with the peppers. So it's quite nice. And they tasted good, by the way. And I could taste a little hint. I don't taste pepper, but this pepper that I've used, and by the way, Myrtle may want to take this in addition. Myrtle may want to take a little bit of notes of this because I don't have chilies here, right? So I use the Jamaican Scotch bonnet pepper. And it works. But when I tasted it, you know, the Jamaican Scotch bonnet is used for its flavor, not for the heat, right? It has a very distinct flavor about it. I tasted that flavor in the yogurt. So I won't be able to see when it's finished now because it's all used up. I used both of them in my bread, and I did not use any yeast or anything like that. So I'll show you that when it is finished. So that is dinner for me. So now I have 2 hands, and we need to go into the tofu making. Valerie and then Dawn.
So
oh, Valerie, I haven't got your name on the list. Which one of the milks are you doing?
soya.
Soya. Okay, all right. And you, I missed one name. All right, cool. I've got you now.
Right. So I've got
You're breaking up. If you are speaking, we can't hear. Can't hear you. All right. Sorry, but I believe we have lost Valerie. I can't see her. Neither can I hear her anymore. But Dawn, your hand is up. Would you like to ask your question until Valerie gets back in? You're on mute.
Yeah. So is it okay to use the Epsom salt and to add additional salt to this recipe? Is it safe?
Oh, Epsom salt doesn't give you salt flavor, and it doesn't affect your blood pressure, if that's what you're talking about in terms of salt. It's not sodium. So salt is sodium and chloride. Somebody else a question? I missed that. It just flashed up, but I didn't see it.
Okay, Davina, this is Ellen. I want to find out. I'm lost. I've just measured my cups of milk of soya milk, and then what's next?
Well, you're lost because I didn't get there as yet.
Oh, okay.
Right. All right. So, all right. Let's go into that aspect of it. Let's pull up the recipe, and I will pull up the recipe. If someone forward back the recipes that I sent, oh, Valerie's back in. So if someone just forward back the recipes that I sent, just so they can go to the bottom of the list, I'm going to show them on the screen. Please, anyone, any student can do that. Valerie?
Yes, I'm
you
back.
had got knocked out. You were about to ask a question. If you had asked it, we didn't hear what you were saying.
Right. I've got the 2 of these full of
soya milk, how much do you want me to use?
Is that what you were going to ask?
Yes.
Okay, all right. We are about to get there now, right? So has somebody forwarded it back to the bottom? All right, lovely. I'm going to share it on the screen. Where did you send it? Oh, let's see why I'm not seeing it. The last thing I'm seeing. Okay, it's okay. All right, cool. Now I see it. All right, so as I said, if you're gonna use a box soya milk, I'm gonna use about 1 liter of milk for it to curdle. Okay, but you can always follow this recipe right here. 1.5 cups of soybean milk, soy milk.
Oh, soy milk.
Yeah, you can always follow that. It's a little bit of soy milk, that soya tofu that you will get, right? Especially if you use a shop bought, because there is not sufficient protein in it.
But this is homemade.
Okay, you can use the 1.5 cups.
Okay.
So, are you gonna use lime juice? You just need the juice from 1 lime. If you're gonna use a shop bought one, you still only need the juice of 1 lime, right, to work as a coagulant. Now, this is what I have discovered.
Davina, sorry. Is it lime or lemon juice?
When I say lime, it's just because we don't have lemons in Jamaica, so my vocabulary gets very familiar with the word lime. But for you, it's lemon. It works the same. I mean, mind you, lemon is a bit more acidic than lime, but it works the very same.
What about sour orange?
I never try it. I've never tried it.
Okay.
But I am sure it works very well.
Well, you have it there in plenty amount.
But I don't have any at my house where I live.
All right.
I had a tree, but it dried out.
All right, I'll get you some.
All right.
Davina.
Yes, dear?
I've got limes, I've got lemons, I've got
lemon.
Epsom salt, and I've got citric acid. Which one do you think is
I would use the lemon. I'm always using the fresh stuff, but you've never used Epsom salt, so give it a try if you want. But you've never made tofu, have you?
I have, yes.
And what do you normally use?
I've either used lemon or I've used the magnesium.
Okay, the nigari.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, I haven't got any of that just now, so.
All right. I would use the lemon.
Okay.
Because it gives the tofu also a nice, very refreshing flavor. It really helps with the flavor. It makes it different. So I would prefer to use the lemon.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So we want to bring our milk to a gentle boil. And look, you will see some recipes that literally just, they will take the milk out of the fire and ages after they will add the lime and it still works. Any point in time when you add the lime, it will still work. So I had my milk because I put my milk on today. So I used some shop bought milk, right? Because I've got some curdle there right now because I wanted to make some scrambled eggs this morning. Because I have guests and I wanted to make some scrambled eggs. But I did not get to do that before the class. So I put my milk on and then I realized I didn't have any lemons and my milk boiled over as well. By the time I got a lemon, I'd sort of given up because it was getting closer to the class. But then I just quickly decided, just before devotional, I decided to just squeeze the lemon in and it still works. It's there, nicely curdled and waiting. So any point in time, you add the lemon basically. Once the milk is fairly warm, or if it's not, you can just add a little bit of heat back to it and give it gentle stir. You know, don't over stir it because you don't want to sort of break the bonds, right, of the protein. So just a gentle stir, and so the acid can mix in everywhere nicely. And once you've done that, you want to remove, once you see it curdling and you see the picture of the curdle, let's go back up to the picture of the curdle.
What's that?
I can't find it. Okay. So once you have this sort of consistency, you know that your milk is curdling nicely, all right? Then you want to just take it, if you had it on the flame, now you want to just take it off the flame, set it aside for a minute or so and let the curdling process continue. Then you want to get your cheesecloth.
Sorry, Davina, do we add the Epsom salt or not yet?
No, so if you're going to use the lemon, you don't need Epsom salt. But yeah. So
Okay,
that's
thanks.
what's, the coagulant is either the gypsum or the Epsom salt or the lemon or vinegar, which we're not going to use in this class, or the nigari. So one of those 4 coagulants for the soya bean milk.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. The white bean works slightly different, and the chickpeas work slightly different. So one question for the class, question for those persons who are using the chickpeas milk and the white bean milk. You've already made the milk? You've already blended it and strained it?
I haven't seen it.
No, haven't.
Yes.
Yes, strain. Blend and strain. Blend them and strain them, yeah. But don't start boiling them because it's a different process from the soya milk, right?
Davina, can I ask you something?
I think I've messed up because I followed the video and I boiled and steamed. It is in the steam now.
So all right, hold on. Who is speaking? Junior.
Yes.
Junior, you're doing the chickpeas milk.
Yes.
But what video did you follow? The video for the chickpeas?
Now that I'm confusing chickpeas and soya.
Well, you have to be clear which one you're doing and which instructions you're following. It is 3 different instructions for the 3 beans.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're doing chickpeas, just hold gun. Don't start fire yet. We're not doing the chickpeas yet. We're still on the soya. Alexandra.
Yes, I blended it, but I wanted you to see if this was right. I didn't know if I had to blend it that much. You said to leave a little bit of lumps.
What happened is when you're putting it through the cheesecloth, if you make it too fine, too smooth, it is harder to squeeze through the cheesecloth, and sometimes you end up tearing up your cheesecloth. And then you get pulp flying in your milk where you have to start your process of straining all over. So that's why I suggest you give it a rough blend first, then strain, and then you can put back the rest of the husk back in the blender, right? And you can either use back some of the milk or a little bit more water, depending on what I said in the voice note, because for the 2 milks I give different instructions. So
can you see what I've done? Can you see it?
I can't really see it.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's good. Blend that. So you use you use about half the water to blend that.
I used 1 cup with nearly 4 cups of water.
Okay, you've blended it all already. So strain it and then put back some of that very same milk, right, on the pulp that's left and blend again to get more milk out of it.
More milk out there. More. I've got to blend it again.
So strain that you have there.
Okay.
Right? Strain it. And then after you've strained it, the pulp that you have left, put the pulp back into the blender and then put some of the milk that you have already strained onto the pulp to get a bit more protein out of that pulp. The more fat you have and the more protein you have, the better your tofu will be.
Okay. I don't understand what you just said, really. What do I have to do? Sorry.
Strain the milk. Strain
Okay,
it now.
Okay.
Well, after you strain it, then you let me know that you have strained it and I'll tell you what to do next.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. All right, so those persons who are doing the soya, you need to have you curdled your milk. Soya people, you need to get to the stage where you have curdled your milk and strain it with your cheesecloth or your nut milk bag. And what I use, so let me tell you what I use, right? You have this plant bag that, you know, when you plant like your tomatoes and stuff outside, you have this bag that you put over it to protect it from bugs and slugs. I use one of those bags, right? That's my bag. It's a little bit firmer than some, but it works nicely because it's a very big bag. So I have a lot of room. When I squeeze, I can twist and tie and turn. I have a lot of bag because it's a bag for a whole plant. And it works well. So let me know where you are at. Let me know where you're at. Let me know where you're at. So we're talking to Enoch, Elaine, Dawn, and Valerie. You need to let me get a concoction, a something, and show you. Not sure. You know this pot. Where am I? Can you see this? You know this pot that we normally get when we buy pot sets? We get this, and then we have another one to sit it on that is solid that you can actually boil stuff in.
Steamer.
Yeah. Steamer. Excellent. Yes. Right? So I hope everybody's familiar with this. You can use this for your tofu if you don't have the tofu box, or you don't have. Ideally, let me explain to you why you're using something like this. When you you put the tofu to press, you're trying to squeeze out all the water out of the tofu, right? So when you put it in this, and you have another pot under the bottom that catches this water, so the tofu is not sitting in its own water. Otherwise, it's going to be soft. And as I've said before, the more water in the tofu is the less protein you have, and the softer the tofu will be. And when the tofu is soft, you can't really use it in your main dishes, like when you want to make like stew and you want to slice up your tofu or fry it or anything like that. So you want to use something like this. If you haven't got a tofu box, you want to use your double steamer like this. Put it in. So once it's in the cheesecloth, you're going to put it in here, and you're going to just form it in here and cover it up nicely. And then you put a nice bowl on top with water in it. So something heavy that can sit on it to press the water out. And then the water will catch in the pot in the bottom, and you can leave your tofu like that. So as I said, 15 minutes, you get a soft tofu. Then about 25 minutes, you're getting a medium, and you just sort of like that, you know. The longer you leave it and the more you squeeze it, the firmer it will get. Okay? And so you form your tofu basically. So I just want
to... Davina,
yeah?
You say a tofu box. Do you mean a tofu press, like something like that?
Yes, yes. So when I said the tofu box, yeah, that's what I mean, the tofu press. Have you got one? Oh, yeah. Yeah. There you go. You could use that because then you get a perfectly shaped, nice square block of tofu. For my round pot, you may get a round tofu. which at the end of the day, you just want a tofu to be able to be sliced. You know, round, square, or triangle, you can use it, right? You have tofu. So what you can do, if this tofu is something that you make a lot of, if tofu is something that you make a lot of, you can invest in a tofu box or a tofu press. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on eBay. You can get loads of them on Alibaba. But obviously now, if you're buying tofu press for resale, you can buy it from Alibaba. Alexandra, you want to say something?
Yeah, I've done that. I strained it.
You have.
I have strained it.
You have strained it. All right, excellent. So now that pulp that you've got remaining in the bag, put it back in your blender. You get as much water out of it as possible, right? Get as much of the milk out of it as possible.
Yeah.
Good. All right, fantastic. It's nice and dry. Put it back in your blender.
Yeah. Done.
All right. Okay, wonderful. And then use some of the milk from the pot. Just take a cup of milk from the pot.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. And blend again and just squeeze again.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, so tofu people, soya people, you should be on to your first tofu right there. Now, just to say, those who are doing soya, your next tofu. This one everybody should be doing, by the way. This silken tofu everybody should be doing. And this is where you want to use a plant-based soya milk. Again, what you're gonna do, you're gonna put this soya milk in a bottle. So you're gonna bring it to a boil, and you're gonna put it in then you're gonna pour it in a bottle, and then you're gonna add the lemon juice in the bottle. And you're gonna give it a gentle stir. Then you're gonna cover the bottle. And again, your steamer comes in. You're gonna put this on, and your pot below is gonna be filled with water. You're gonna bring it to a boil. You're gonna put the bottle to sit inside of this pot, and you're gonna cover it. And you're gonna steam this 15-20 minutes is a good time to steam it for. You're gonna get a silken tofu. It is gonna be the most beautiful tofu you've ever made. All right?
Davina.
Yes, sir, Max.
Does it have to be like a mason jar?
Well, let me see. What have you got that you are thinking of?
I'm just thinking that you can bottle. I want the information because I'm not making it. I just want to know what size bottle to you put the ingredients in to set it in the steamer.
Oh, I just use a jam bottle, an X jam bottle.
Okay.
So I don't know if that just explains. I just need something that can go in the steamer.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so if you have a nice glass bowl or something like that can go in the steamer, that's fine.
Davina,
yeah.
Once I've coagulated it, how long do I have to wait before I strain it? Does it have to be cool?
No, like a minute. Once you coagulate it, you let it sit for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, so just to make sure, you get all the protein coagulated, right? All right, so that's for your firm. So as I said before, for those doing the soya tofu and for any tofu, the more water in the tofu is, the softer it will be. So for those who are pressing their tofu, you want to make sure you're putting something heavy on it to press the water out. And then at the end, I will talk about some other ways now after your tofu is done, different ways how you can troubleshoot to actually make, or some tofu hacks, maybe you can call them, how you can get your tofu to make a nice fried tofu, or get it a bit firmer without pressing the life out of it. All right? But I'm teaching you to press because that's the common way that it is done. But the people who originate tofu, They have hundreds of different ways, boy, that you can make your tofu firm without pressing it. But you've just learned the press way today. That's the way I'm teaching today, but I'll give you a few tips and bobs afterwards. Next milk.
How do you please repeat how to make the silken tofu?
Okay, the silken tofu. So you bring your cup of soya milk to a boil. Gentle boil, gentle boil, gentle, gentle, gentle. Just as it starts boiling, so you know that it's all heated through. You then throw it in a bottle, right? Or your glass container, whatever you want to keep that tofu in afterwards. Bowl with a lid or something, right? You pour it in that, and you squeeze the lemon in it, or the lime, whatever juice you're gonna use. You squeeze that in it, and then you give it one little tiny stir, a little gentle stir, right? And then you cover it, and then you make the steamer like this with the water. So the next pot must have hot water in it, boiling, having it rapidly boiling. And then you put your bottle inside of this and let it steam for about 20 minutes. And it's gonna set, and it's gonna be very jiggly. So when it's finished, it's gonna be like a jiggly tofu. And then you can pour it out and you can slice it, you can do whatever. This tofu, as I said, is amazing in puddings. Let me just see if I can find a picture quickly to share with you.
While you're looking for the picture, do you have to cover it when you're steaming it? Cover the bottle?
I normally cover it. You don't have to. Because I steam the tofu itself uncovered. But for this, you cover it. You don't have a bottle with a cover? You don't have a bottle with a lid?
It's just for information.
Oh, I don't know. You can give it a try and see and then come back. But yeah, you should cover it. I'm aware of the fact that you cover it. But who knows? There is no one way of doing nothing at all in this vegan world that we are in. This newly discovered world that we are in, there is no one way of doing anything. So there lots of recipes are still being discovered. There's still new ideas popping up every day. People are learning different things about vegan food. So I'm always going to say to you, experiment. Let your kitchen be your chemistry lab. Right?
Can you use nigari for the silken tofu?
If you can use nigari, yes, you can use nigari. You can use nigari, but I would prefer to use a lemon, especially for the silken tofu, because the silken tofu is the kind of tofu that you want to use mostly in your raw recipes. Like you're going to make mayonnaise or you're going to make puddings. You want to use the silken tofu is best for that because it gives it that nice shine. It gives it that nice jiggly kind of texture. It really melts in your mouth. And the fact that you're going to use it raw, the lemon adds to the flavor. So it will make it taste better, right? Marlene is waiting to come in. So let her in.
How much lemon juice do you add per cup of soya milk?
You could use firstly for a cup, you could try a half a lemon, and then if you see that you don't get enough curdle from it, use another half a lemon. That's how I normally do. And that works very well. All right, so we are finished with the 2 tofu recipes, right? We are finished with the firm, and we are now finished with the jiggly. So everybody should have been doing the silken tofu, right? Everybody must do the silken tofu, but you all don't have to do the firm tofu. Now, the next tofu we're gonna go to is the white bean and the chickpeas. So white bean tofu, you've got
Sorry, Davina. How long do we boil the firm tofu and the silken tofu, please?
Okay, so you bring it to a gentle boil, right? As soon as you see it start to boil, then you want to add the coagulant and you want to remove it from the heat. So you're not boiling it for long. You don't want it to boil for long. You want it to just, as it starts boil up, you remove it from the heat. Tofu can also, especially if you're going to use nigari or Epsom salt, these things are very temperature sensitive. So you would need a thermostat, and I don't even remember the temperatures now, but I probably have it written there, or I can send you that later on. But basically, ideally, as soon as it starts gonna boil, you want to remove it from the heat. That's the temperature that you want it to reach.
Thank you. And the steaming?
Oh, so steam, once you put it to steam, you can steam it for 20 minutes. You can steam it for even more. I mean, I've had my tofu steaming for, while I am busy teaching class, my tofu is steaming. Until and it is still perfect.
Shall we put the white beans, the milk on now?
Yes, the white beans as well as the chickpeas, you can both put your milk on. So let me tell you, before you go, let me just send this picture of the jiggly, yep, let's see if that looks good enough. I will send you a picture of that jiggly tofu. Oh, there we go.
Standing
Okay. Nikki. All right, let me just share this with you for your steamed tofu. So your curd, right? And this curd right here is the chickpeas curd. This one right here is a chickpeas curd, but this is without any coagulant, all right? So you can make silken tofu from the chickpeas without any coagulant. In fact, those who are doing the chickpeas, just wait a moment. Let me do the white bean first, then I'll come to those with the chickpeas, because yours can go into 2 or 3 different directions, the chickpeas. So white bean, put your bean on the fire. Do not move from your bean, and have a wooden spoon, and you keep stirring, right? If you stop stirring for 30 seconds, just keep an eye on your beans. Don't let it boil over, and don't let it will start forming cake at the bottom. And I mean thick masses of cake. And if you try to blend this over or try to whisk that cake out, it breaks the bonds of the protein, and what you're now gonna get is something like a low fat tofu. Or it probably won't even form. It won't give you the results that you're looking for, right? So those who are doing the white beans, stand over your fire with your wooden spoon. And one thing you also want to have your mold ready for your tofu. And I grease my mold, but I'm not even sure if you don't have to grease it. You may not have to grease it. I actually don't see anybody else grease their mold, but I personally grease my mold, because the last thing I want is to have, after I finish making my tofu, I have to use a knife to dig it out. I just want to turn it over and it slides right out. So I grease my mold with some oil other than coconut oil. Any oil except coconut oil, okay? All right, so we're going to come back to this picture, right, for those who are doing the chickpeas. So this is your silken tofu. This is your silken tofu, right? And this is also your silken tofu in a dessert. There we go. Let me see if that's it. In a dessert. You can use it in a dessert like that. It's the same steaming method that gives you this here. See that? All right. Now let's go back to the recipe page. All right. I can't find it again. It's lost. Okay, there we go. It's on my screen now. All right. Yeah,
Quick
go ahead.
question, I put, because I bent my milk, I ended up putting a cartoon of Alpro soya milk. But I got just a little bit. After straining it, most of it came out through the strainer. So I've got just a little portion. I put it on the WhatsApp group, how it looks. I don't know how to take.
Okay, yeah, put it on the group and then I can share it from there. It's easy. It's better to see it from the screen. You post it?
Yeah, I put it on the WhatsApp group. So that's all I got from a full cartoon of.
Yeah, I can't see it though.
I put it on the WhatsApp group.
Oh, you might put it before you put it before I posted these desserts.
Yeah.
That's it. After straining a full carton, this is
all I got.
This is a perfect example. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. You see that? A whole liter. You get a handful.
Yeah.
Of curd. That's to show you there is no protein in it. I don't know what is in it. So that's all the fat, the protein that is in it. You're not getting much. You're getting fillers and stuff and stuff and stuff. So that's all right. What do you do with this is your question.
Yes.
I have a fantastic recipe for you for this.
Okay.
All right. So what you're going to do right now, you're going to mix this with a little bit of egg salt.
I don't have egg salt.
Okay, then just use any salt. You need to get the egg salt.
Okay.
Yes. You're going to mix it with it. You're going to put it back in the cheesecloth and you're going to tie it really tightly.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a little teacup, because I know it's not much, if you have a little teacup, you're going to stuff it in the teacup. Make sure that all the tied ends are turned underneath so it stays tightly together, right? And just stick that in your fridge for another 2 or 3 days. And by then, hopefully, your egg salt will come. When your egg salt comes, you're going to take that out and you're going to slice it. So it's going to hold firmly together, right? It's going to be like a blob, yeah. You're going to slice it and then you can sprinkle egg salt on it and fry it. And tell me what you have gotten.
Okay, thanks, Davina.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, you're going to tell me, wow, this is egg.
Okay, thank you.
All right, no problem. But everybody, have you seen that? You see what she gets from the shop bought soya milk. That's what I'm telling you about. You don't get much from them. All right, some 5 hands are up. Alexandra, John, then Pat, then Bajan Beauty, then Eugenia. So Alexandra, go ahead.
What do I do with the leftover beans in the bag?
Oh, you're going to put that aside. Put that one side. We're going to use that. Later on, I'm going to tell you what you're going to do with it. So put that aside now.
And how long do I stir this? How long do I have to stir?
What milk are you doing again? Is it soya?
No, bean.
Okay, so you've got your bean milk on the fire.
Yes.
You're going to be stirring until, let me send a picture. It's going to be thick. When you start getting it thick, then you're going to say, what's happening here? My milk is thick. So until it gets to that stage where you want to know what is happening, then it's not ready. Once it is thick, then you're going to pour it in your mold. You're going to pour it in your mold. And you're going to level it off in your mold. And then you're going to cover that. And in about 2 hours, it will set. And you're going to have a nice, let me send some pictures of what you're going to have.
Do you put the lemon in it, Davinia?
And the white bean?
Yeah. No.
You don't have to put no lemon in the white bean because it's not gonna curdle anyway.
Oh, okay. No
Yeah.
worries. Okay.
Yeah. But you must put the lemon skin
Right.
or
Oh.
orange skin or pomelo skin, whatever citrus you have.
Mm-hmm.
Give it a roll and just peel a nice piece of the skin and put in it because it helps to get rid of that beany flavor.
Okay.
Okay. Davina, you don't let it boil, you said.
Which one?
The bean one.
All of them is bean. Which one are the bean?
Oh, sorry, the white bean. Yeah, the white bean. Don't let it boil.
Yes, man. That one you're gonna cook for a little while.
But yeah, I don't have to let it boil.
Yes, man. If it boils, that's okay. You're gonna be cooking that one for a little while, so it can gently boil. But you still need to stir it because it has a way, right? That bean has a lot of fiber in it, and the fiber will sink to the bottom, and it can look something like create like something looking like cornmeal at the bottom of your polenta, at the bottom of your milk. You don't want that to happen. Because when that happens, then you sort of now get a low fat milk, sort of, right? It sort of break the bonds of the protein. It changes the milk.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So what would happen is a lot of the dishes that you could use the milk for before, it won't turn out the very same way. For example, let me just go back to sharing my screen quickly so you can see what I mean. Okay. For example, this right here, can you see this dressing that I have?
Yeah.
All right, so I did a low fat milk, and my dressing, my mayonnaise that I wanted to make wouldn't turn into that thick, fluffy mayonnaise like if I hadn't strained out all my fiber and all of that from my bean. All right. If I made a low fat bean because I left it, and then when I came back, I almost had a cake. So I threw it back in the blender and blend it again to get out the lumps, and then put it back on the fire. But I had to strain it. I strained it, I sieved it again. So that got rid of too much of my fat and too much of my protein. So what I have here is like, it's still a milk and it is still rich, and in milk it looks really good. And it tastes good as well, but it doesn't have the amount of fat and the amount of protein in it to make the quality mayo that the amount of oil that I added to it, that oil would have made if I had used another milk, or if I had not given it that second blend with that second strain. Get me?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So that's why you want to stay near it and don't do like me. Don't have several things going on at the same time.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
When do you add the lemon to the white beans?
For example, the white beans, you don't even need to add the lemon to it, but you could add the lemon. When you see it start getting thick, you can add the lemons, or even now if you want, but you don't want to have the lemons in it too long to like sort of cook. Just add the lemons close to the end, but it's not necessary. But it will improve the flavor anyway. But it's not really gonna curdle it. It doesn't curdle it, at least from my experience. It does not curdle the white beans. Got me? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so that's the white beans, people. Oh, I needed to send you a picture of how thick it should get. Let me see.
Can we use this for the silken tofu?
Sorry, say that. Oh, you're showing me something. Hold on, let me find you on the screen. Enoch. Enoch, I can't see you. Speak.
Hello?
Yeah, I can see your pot.
Yeah, can we use this for the
Oh, you
silken
mean to
tofu?
steam it?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
You're gonna put it in a bottle.
In a bottle.
How are you gonna do it in that pot? Tell me
Pour
what
it
you.
in here. Pour it in here and then cook it on the steamer.
Okay, that's quite thick though. I don't know if the heat is gonna go through that, Enoch.
I've been telling him, but he tends to do his own thing. I said, look, you use this jar.
All right, Enoch, I think this is when you need to listen to mommy. I know you're the chef there, and I know you are the food science man, but I think in this case, yeah, the jar may be better. All right, it's then John Bajan Beauty.
Yes, Sister Davina, I was asking, did you said it was egg salt? EGG, egg salt?
EGG, yes. Oh, yes, so it's called Black Indian salt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Black Indian salt, or if anybody can pronounce the name, that is, it begins with K.
Sister Davina, Enoch is concerned that the tofu gets stuck in the jar, but I think it's wide enough.
I think it is wide enough as well. However, if you've got a bowl, if you've got another container that you want to use, you could use another container that is shaped differently.
Okay.
Yeah. Next.
Oh,
Benjamin?
It's Harriet, Beijing. Can you tell me, how do I use this press?
All right, Harriet, your tofu, your press needs to be able to move up and down, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's got
okay. All right, good. So your tofu now, you're gonna wrap it in the cheesecloth.
Yeah.
Get it in a nice square. Have you got like a box or anything else to go with that press?
No, it
No.
came just.
All right. So you're gonna put it between where your eyes are looking through. You're
Yeah,
gonna put your tofu between there, but it needs to be in the cheesecloth. And then you're gonna bring the top down on it and tighten it as much as you can.
Right.
And that will press the water out. And then that contraption, that equipment in your hand, you then put that in. I don't know if it came with a square basin that you could put it in. Okay, so you can put it on a baking tray or something like that, so the water can catch
Okay.
into something. Yeah.
Okay then, fine, thank you.
You're welcome, Valerie.
Yeah. This is the salt that I use with scrambled tofu. The eggy one.
Yeah, then that's perfect. What you want to use it for now?
No, I just want to say this one, is that the same thing? Black salt.
Yes.
It is the
But
same.
the first one, I didn't see the name for the first one, but let me see that black salt. Is that the bag or is it just?
It's just just like that.
Is that the color of the bag or is that the color of the salt?
That's the color of the salt.
No, man.
This is the one that has the eggy taste. Kala namak.
Yes, that's the egg salt, the black Indian salt. The other one, I don't know what the other one is because it doesn't look black. It looks like Celtic salt. That is perfect. That's a black salt.
This one is being sold as black salt, so I wondered if it was the same thing.
I don't know that one.
Okay.
That looks like a bleached black salt.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So that was Valerie. Bajan answer her question. Eno, can you lower your hand now? Bajan Beauty and Valerie, can you lower your hand because you've asked your questions? Now I am ready to move on to those doing the chickpeas, okay? Right. So chickpeas. We're looking at Nicole, Valda, and Junior. So this is it now with your chickpeas. How much you've got? How many cups of milk, chickpeas milk have you got? Give me a rough guesstimation. You want to split it in half. Pending you have more than 1 cup. Pending you have more than 1 cup.
I've gotten 3 cups.
All right, great. So take out 1 cup and just put it on very low flame to boil and just leave it for a bit. That's 1 cup. That one, we're not gonna do anything to it, right? It should boil to a consistency like this. Let me go back. Right, this here. It's gonna come to that where you can see the clear liquid, you can see the curdles, and you can see the clear liquid. That's what you're gonna get from the chickpeas when you just boil it by itself, right? On very low heat for a while. Just give me a moment. I need to grab my bottle of water. All right. Where are we? Chickpeas, chickpeas, chickpeas. So, Carol, tell me what is happening with your white bean. Is it getting thick?
No, you said you would have shown us a picture of what it should look like when it gets
Okay, all right, hold on. I didn't find it. Let me just quickly find a picture.
Thanks.
But did you not watch the video I sent in?
Which video? For the peas? The white bean?
Yep.
I don't remember seeing a video for that one.
All right. Can you see my screen? Oh, hold on. You probably can't hear it. Let me stop. All right. So I'm going to share a quick little video. And I'm not always too keen on sharing videos because I don't want YouTube to, you know, I didn't check out if the video is copyright, if I can share it, yes or no. So sometimes if it's not, they may block your thing. I'm not hearing any sound from this, so maybe there is no sound, but just listen. I mean, just look.
The song comes after Sister Davina.
Okay. Oh, yes, sound is there. Oh, thank you. All right, so let's go back just to make sure you're seeing everything. So this is saying 250 grams of white beans to 600 ml of water to 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Okay, so you can use some lemon juice. All right. It's showing you the finished product. You soak the beans for 24 hours in the water. And with all beans, it's gonna double. You drain it. And I always say after draining, give them a good rinse. Because sometimes the little foam and stuff from the draining, you know, gives it a little sour taste. Or smell. Which normally gets away with cooking anyway. Pour in the food processor. And she's just adding water to cover the beans. See that texture? Who was it? What was asking? Alexandra? Was it you?
Yes.
You see the texture, right? sort of grainy coat the back of the spoon, like you strain that.
You put a lot less water.
How much water? No, maybe she's gonna wash it and do it again. Well, no. What did that just say? I missed that bit. Bring the boil for 30 minutes over low to medium heat. See, she washed it and she added more water. Is that what I just saw? But either way, whatever amount of water you add, you're gonna just keep this on the fire until it thickens. The water gonna evaporate. So look, it looks like a porridge, like what you call that wheat cereal thing that you make for babies? Cereal.
Formula milk.
Semolina.
Semolina, right. It looks a bit like that. See, she added it. But
mine's a lot liquider. Hers is so
but
much
you have to keep
thicker.
that, mean you're gonna keep it on the fire longer because it has to get thick like this before you pour it. So you see hers is pourable, but the more pourable it is, the more water is in it. And the softer the tofu will be. But it makes a beautiful tofu. 2 days later, excess water comes out. So I have one like this. And what I am thinking, yeah, the excess water comes out, but it would be nice actually to have this in a mold where you could actually have a drainer kind of mold. Like, you know, the proper tofu box that you can actually drain in, it would be good to have it in one of those. Because then when the water, excess water comes out, it would drain away. I guess.
This is my video.
Oh.
Pretty good, right?
Let it go.
Well, it's a little boring.
Today's recipe is for homemade mayonnaise that is...
Okay. So that's the white bean mayo. No, sorry. That's the white bean tofu. So you saw that? You saw how silky? You saw how silky that is? No?
Yes.
Right. So that's what you're expecting from the white bean. And now, for those who are doing the chickpeas, I'm hoping you saw that. Because you also, when you split your chickpeas in two, you are going to do that with half of your chickpeas. And the other half, you're just going to leave to boil with nothing. And it's going to curd and give you what I sent through earlier. And I'm going to show you my indulgence with that, with mine. Let's send it. All right, have you seen those? I've sent to the group. Let me quickly share them. So what I just sent. So that's what your silken tofu should look like when it is finished. I mean, it may not look as neat and tidy as this, but you can press it. This is actually silken, but it is pressed. Because silken is normally a bit looser. Let me move on. So let's see now. Let's start. This here. So who got just a little bit of curd from their thing? Elaine, was it you? Who used a box of soya milk and got a hand?
Yes.
Yeah, so Elaine, this is my little bit of curd as well. And this curd though, small amount, but it has no coagulant in it. No coagulant gave me that. There was no coagulant in it, right? But as I said, I tightened it, tied it up well in my cheesecloth. I literally sticked it in a teacup, left it in my fridge for a few days, and I got this when I opened it out yesterday. And what I did, I sliced it up. So you see the texture when it is sliced? Talking to myself?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Right, and then I fried it with a little egg salt over it and some normal salt. Right, I put both sea salt and egg salt. And I gave some skeptics to taste. And listen, they were asking for more. Right? They were asking for more. And I said some skeptics who vegan food, they sort of go like this. Right? And they were asking for more. So I did a bit like scrambled egg as well. It was good. Even this morning, I have a guest, and a guest was asking for more for breakfast, a scrambled egg, but obviously I didn't get to finish that, so I've made a curdle now actually, but didn't get to finish. So it's on the fire there, sitting down still, which I will probably make the curdle and make it for her. All right, so
Okay, I will try it.
yes,
Davina,
do
you squeeze the water out of the tofu for the silken tofu, or do you steam it in the water?
No, you steam it. So with this silken tofu, right? The milk.
Yeah.
You bring the milk to a boil.
Mm.
Then you pour it in the bottle, add the lime.
Okay.
Cover it, put it in the thing, let it steam. What you're gonna have happen now is when it steam, it's gonna the coagulated protein bits are gonna bond together. They're gonna hold together, and the water will be there, so you can literally pour the water off.
Okay.
After that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right, so this is your white bean. This is your white bean, and this is your chickpeas tofu. So if you have clients or if yourself is a soy-free person, here are all the tofus you can make. Others you can make. So this is chickpeas as well. This is chickpeas. This is white bean. And the texture is very much the same. It can be frozen for up to 3-4 months. Sliced up, fry it, sliced it up, cook it in your stews, put it in your sauces. It works. Okay.
Davina.
Yeah.
The chickpeas you've got as far as half of the milk. That's you didn't finish for the chickpeas.
Right. So I think I did though. So the first part of the milk. So if you split the milk in half, or even if you don't split it in half, but you just split it anyways, the smaller portion or one of the portions, I would use a smaller portion to just boil on low heat and just leave it there, boiling on low heat, and it will separate. So it will separate where we'll have the water separate from the curd without you doing anything whatsoever to it. Then the second half, you're gonna boil, but you're gonna keep stirring it like shown in the video of the white bean. And close to the end, she just added her lemon juice. Can I use something else than a steamer? Okay, 1 second, Anna. Okay, yeah, in a second as well, the other Hannah. Right, so you're gonna keep stirring it like you're doing the white bean to make it's gonna get thick on you, and it's gonna start looking creamy like that baby's food, the baby cereal, right? It's gonna start looking like that, and then when it gets thick, you're gonna pour it in a mold as well, and you leave it for 2 hours. After 2 hours, it should cool down and it should set. As it cools, it sets. After 2 days, it releases the extra water, and daily or every half a day or so, you can go there and drain off that extra water that it is pushing out. Okay? Nope.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. What we're gonna use? So you wanted a recipe for the. All right. So question: what can I use other than a steamer? Steamer. You can use. So what I have used before is a steam basket. I'm hoping, or you can use a colander. So you put 1 pot with water to boil nicely, and then you put a colander or a big strainer over that pot, and you put your tofu, tie up in your cheesecloth or whatever in that strainer. You would have, you could have put a glass jar in the strainer. That would just create disaster, right? But you could try tying it up in the cheesecloth and putting it in there. I think that should give you a nice tofu as well, actually. Yeah, you do that. So if you don't have a steamer, you can use that. I use a basket. I've used my colander, and I've used my strainer before in the past, because when you have to move fast in the kitchen, sometimes you use what you find at your hand. Right. Now, next question was, can we have dessert recipe for silken tofu? Of course. Dessert recipe for silken tofu. So this is what I've done. An amazing dessert. This one, let me tell you the recipe. Hope I can remember it from memory. I'll show you. This dessert right here is a cheesecake. So I actually made it. Let's see. Can you see the glass behind? Can you see the teacup behind the plate?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So I make it in the teacup, or I make it in one of these dessert bowls. Let me show you in live. And I'm going to tell you what I do. And you can make something like a chocolate mousse. Okay, so yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm gonna tell you what you do with one of these. Now you're gonna get your silken tofu. You need a can of coconut cream that you put in the fridge or freezer overnight. So basically you want to get the fat part from the coconut separated from the liquid, right? You want to get about 2 tablespoons of agar. You want to get, I think that's what you wanted to get, yeah. You want to probably get some thing that you could throw in as flavor, like maybe vanilla, or if you want to use some carob. Yeah, if you want to use some vanilla or you want to use some carob, you can use that. You know, some vanilla essence, not essence, some vanilla extract. Whatever these things that you normally use for dessert, you can use some of these, right, to flavor this. So what you want to do is, in your blender, you want to throw the coconut cream. You want to mix out your agar in a little bit of water, or you can even use, you know, when you separate the coconut cream, you have the clear water part.
Yeah.
Right. You can use some of that clear water part to mix the agar. Right. So, you know, nothing goes to waste. You try to use some of that to mix out the agar. Now you put the tofu in the steamer, in the steaming basket. So this is when you could use your strainer, because the strainer is small and it's not like it's a big old tofu. So you just put one pot with boiling water, put the strainer over it, put the tofu, slice of tofu or block of tofu in the strainer, and I cover it now with a pot cover, right? And you steam that for about 10 minutes. I've always steamed mine for longer than 5-10 minutes, because when I put that on, I run to do something else, right? It steams up, then you take it out and you throw it in the blender as well. The agar, you heat it on the fire, and you heat it, and then you pour it in when it's dissolved. Exactly, you heat it until it is dissolved, and you keep mixing it so it doesn't get too thick or lumpy either. Once it is dissolved, you pour it as well in the blender with the steamed tofu, with the coconut cream, and as I said, if you were going to put vanilla, you can put some sweetener, by the way. Yes, definitely some sweetener, right? So you can use your favorite sweetener, agave, honey, maple syrup, whatever sweetener you want to put, and you want to make sure you're having enough sweetness to your taste buds. So let's say 3 tablespoons of honey, or its equivalent in terms of sweetener, yeah, you're getting the cream from about 1 can of coconut milk, and you're getting the about size of about half a tub of tofu that you would normally buy in the shop, or 1 block of tofu. Either way, at the end of the day, you want to make sure once this is blended, you just stick a little finger in and just taste it to make sure you are actually happy with it. Once you have everything in, you blend it. When you're finished, you get a strainer or a sieve or whatever, and you strain this mixture now into the mold that you want to put it in. And by the way, you can always add your carob powder to it, or you can get it at our health food stores, coffee alternative that tastes just like coffee, but without the caffeine and the other acidic stuff, right? So you pour it in, just strain it in and leave it to set in the fridge. Of course, you're gonna get a really nice jiggly wobbly cheesecake or mousse dessert. And listen now, to go on top of that, you can go from A to Z. So that chocolate one, let me just go back now and show you a few spin-offs that I've done from here. So the red top, what have I got for the red top here? By the way, this is a soursop cheesecake I've made there. What have I got for the red top? This, when I just came, I got something they call, it looked like cranberries, but it was not cranberries. Oh, maybe it was pretty bitter. So maybe it was cranberries, but it is fresh from the tree. And normally Jamaica don't grow that stuff. So I don't know where they get the tree from, but they managed to get the trees to grow here. And when I just came, it was sort of in season. So somebody gave me a whole bag of this bitter stuff. Because of course Jamaicans are not really used to it. So it's not really sold. Nobody really buys it of such. Right, so I got a whole bag of this bitter stuff. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do with it? So they told me I can use it to make juice by just boiling it and blending everything, including seed, everybody together. So I did that. And I tasted the thing. The thing tasted awful. So Yeah, the thing tasted awful, but this was a lot of berries, and I'm thinking, well, if it is really cranberries, it is a good stuff, right? So I can't throw this away. So what I did, I strained it, and I throw vanilla in it, and I throw ginger in it, and then I throw my honey in it, or may have been agave, and I even put a splash of vanilla in it. And then I bring it to a gentle boil, and then I mix my cornstarch or corn flour. In Jamaica it's called cornstarch. In England it is corn flour, the white one, right? That we use to thicken gravy, soup, and sauces. I mix maybe, I don't know, 2-3 tablespoons, and I poured it in it, and then give a slow, gentle mix. And this is my result. And I poured it on top of my cheesecake, right? And there you go. Ooh. Wow. One. Boy. These very delicate mobile phones just like to drop, boy. Yeah. So I put it on top of my cheesecake. There you go. And as I said, I make it in the mold, in this individual serving mold, so it looks really sexy. And then when it is set, I stick a nice piece of fresh mint leaf on the top. Then the other one, what I've got here, let's see if I can find a better picture. All right, so you can see some nuts on the top. What I've got here is the Piglet cheesecake, and on top now, I got my coffee alternative, and I mix my coffee alternative with some coconut cream. I mix it with some coconut cream, and I put a little cornstarch in it as well. And I just mix them when they were cold, and then I just put them on the fire and bring it to a gentle heat, and then I pour it while it is pourable. I pour it on the top of my cheesecake, and then I had chopped nuts, and then I sprinkled my chopped nuts on top of it, and it sits nicely with the nuts inside. And that one was a seller. It was a big win. And the base, have you done cheesecakes as yet? No? So the base, what I normally do for the base is I get the almond nuts or peanut or whatever nut you want to use. I like to use almond. 1 second, John. And or you can use seeds or you can use oats. Okay? But let's look at almond nuts. You can toast them as well as you can use them raw as they are. But I put my nuts in my food processor and I ground them, right, up to a rough chop. Then I add my dates. So if I use 1 cup of nuts, I'm going to use about a cup of dates or half a cup of dates. Depends on how sweet you want it, right? I put the dates in, and then I give it a nice mix again, and the dates gets chopped up, and then I add a tablespoon or 2 of olive oil. Oops. Okay. Yeah. Then I use my olive oil or whatever, or coconut oil normally, in that mix. And once you put it in the food processor, you will see when it starts sticking and it starts moving from the side of the container. When it starts moving from the side, not moving from the side, you see it starts sticking together. In fact, once you clump it up with your hand, you should be able to form like a ball. It should clump in your hand. Once it clumps in your hand, you know that it is ready. This is when you now press it in your, whatever is going to be your base. That's when you now press it, right? Let me see if I, okay, no, I will need to show a picture of that. I haven't got any picture at hand to show, but you press it in the base, and once it is pressed in the base, you put it in the fridge to chill. While it is chilling in the fridge, then you can now go and make the filling for your cheesecake, which, as I said, your silken tofu, steamed silken tofu, makes an amazing filling, right? And by the way, you can mix that silken tofu with cashew as well. but it is so perfect by itself. It doesn't need no support whatsoever. The texture of the cheesecake is, wow, it's a showstopper kind of cheesecake, all right? It is a proper showstopper. What else you could do with the silken tofu? So again, you could blend the silken tofu. So I want to save this recipe really, because next week Sunday I'll be doing this recipe for the club, the launching of the club. So I don't really want to tell it to you as yet.
Davina, you are not allowed to share that recipe.
All right, so come to the club if you want to learn this other recipe, all right? You've got to come and invite friends. You've got to see that one. When you talk about a proper party showstopper, it cannot beat this one, all right? So I'll see you Sunday at the club for this next. That will be the name of it, showstopper. All right.
Davina, Valerie's hand is up.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Valerie, go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to ask about the club because I couldn't see any information about it.
All right, what's going to happen is I will talk about the club at the end because I have to let Boosie present. I want to hear how the tofu's coming on quickly. If you got it set in, you should have got it set in now. So by the time Boosie presents, after she finished, then we can look at some of what the results.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's it. Everybody should have either white, soya, or chickpea tofu going. And the other two that I sent on the ingredients list, where you can use the chickpea flour, I would like you to give that a try for your homework. All right, Valerie, lower your hand. Lucy, it's all over to you. Thank you very much, everyone. And I hope that you would have learned something about food science today. How to coagulate bean. Right, normally we know that eggs or protein, obviously, protein coagulates when heat touches it. But you can coagulate your beans. It is still protein. This is definitely indeed food science, because normally we learn in school, we normally do cheese. Not cheese, egg. Egg. When you hear about coagulation, it's always egg. The egg coagulates and, stuff like that. So, yes, I'm Pat, quickly.
Yes, what do we do with the pulp of the bean? Throw it away?
No, please do not throw it away. All right. Bossy, can you give me 2 seconds?
Yes, sure.
All right. So the pulp of the bean can be used. Let me see how I get my camera down here. Okay, I'm going to show the screen. I use my pulp, and my pulp is made up of, this is my pulp. So my pulp is made up of almond beans, because by the way, I made some almond milk. I wonder, where is that? That must have been what I used to make the yogurt. So I made some almond milk, and I made my chickpea as well, right? Milk. So this now, to those mix left over, what I added to it was about a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons of psyllium husk. I added about 3 tablespoons of flax meal. I added, what else did I add? I added salt, and maybe onion powder or garlic powder is stuff that you can also add. You can add some herbs to it, right? You can add some herbs to it. And I mixed it all in. I'll show you the mix. Uh-oh, I haven't got the mix anymore. I've used the mix to make meatballs, but I'll show you the meatballs. And I'll show you some cookies as well that I'm going to stick in the oven in a second. So let's stop here. And let me bring my computer screen down. Okay. You're seeing this?
Yes, I am.
Right, so I've used it to make some meatballs. Now, want to tell you something about psyllium husk. There's some corn flour, by the way. Corn flour is also in my mix.
Corn flour.
So let me just pull one apart and I will tell you what exactly is in my mix.
Corn flour, corn starch.
cornstarch for you, Myrtle. Corn flour for British.
Okay.
So it's basically I've got thyme in it. I can see thyme, and I can see that looks like onion. So maybe I blended the onion. You know, I don't even remember what I put in it. But yeah, definitely there is onion in it. So you can throw your onion and your garlic and your spring onion in your food processor and blend them out and use them in this mix, right? You could even use some tomato paste. You could even use some miso paste in this. What else you could add to this? You could add some yeast flakes, but I try not to use yeast flakes. I don't use yeast flakes, and I'm gonna tell you, try and make as much dishes without these things that taste good without them, right? So you only use them when it's absolutely necessary. Like when you're gonna make your vegan cheese, you definitely wanna now have some yeast flakes in it, right? So you save it for important dishes. Don't go using it for your everyday meal dishes, right? Because then you may end up giving yourself small intestinal bacterial overgrowth or small intestinal fungal overgrowth by overdoing it on yeast. So every good thing overdone can become bad. Right, so that's what I've got in this. The psyllium husk makes this very, agar, I put some agar in it as well. And normally with psyllium husk, you mix it out on the side in a little water and then you add it, but no, I didn't. I add all the ingredients together, including the agar, all the thing to the pulp, and just mix it in with a spoon, and then I use my hand and I'll form the ball. So psyllium husk gives it a bit of a spring. You could put a potato in this mix as well, or potato flour. It would give it a nice stretch and a nice texture and a nice fry. So I've got my balls here, and as I said, I was gonna use this. So first what I did, I wanted to test the texture of the mixture. So I fried a couple of balls first, just to test the texture. And then I had this put in my loaf tin, and I put it in my oven. It was in my oven. When the young teenager tasted and demanded that it all be fried, all right? So we pulled them back from the oven, made balls. Here they are. Will be fried for dinner. This is the finished product, and it's got the mayonnaise all over it. But I just want to break it and show you the inside. So here is the inside. Yep, I opened that. So it is delicious, out of this world, right? So I'm trying not to eat any before dinner time. And no, look at this. This mayonnaise is like super. It's all over my fingers looking at me to taste it. But I'm gonna resist. So you can use your okara, your husk, to make these balls. And let me show you what else I have also made. Let me show you what else can be made. So here we go. I've got some cookies. That's gonna go in the oven as well, right? So this is okara, oats, dates, raisins, spice like cinnamon, nutmeg, vanilla, that kind of thing you can throw in it, and honey. Chopped up, by the way, you can put also some coconut flakes in this. We're gonna put this in the oven and see how they come out. We didn't follow any specific recipe.
Is that still the trash, Sister Davina?
Yeah,
is that still the trash?
Oh yeah, that's a trash. That's a trash. That's a trash. And you could always. Oh wait, we added some buckwheat. Did we add some buckwheat flour to these cookies? Almond flour. We added some almond flour to these cookies, and you can always add coconut flour as well. Yeah. So I've got them in the fridge. You can always add some vegan butter to your cookies, by the way, which is normally goes with cookies. Butter or maybe coconut oil, but we didn't add any to ours, but we'll see how it comes out. Right, so that's just 2 recipes that you can use the okara to make. I've seen on YouTube something made like fritters. And obviously, if you mix this with your flour, so let's say you want to use your gluten-free flour, you know, the one that you would normally buy in the shop that actually says gluten-free. By the way, guys, you can turn the fire on and start frying these, yeah. So as soon as class finish, I can eat dinner, right? So, you know the flour that says gluten-free flour, you can buy that flour and you can mix it. Not always, but I find that with the gluten-free flour that is in the packet, they're a bit sandy. So sometimes they don't hold very well. But I find that when I add flax meal, so let's say I have a cup of gluten-free flour, I would add maybe about a half a cup or a quarter cup, between half to quarter cup of flax meal. And I find that that ratio gives that gluten-free flour an amazing stretch. It changes the consistency completely, so it becomes more like normal gluten flour. It feels that way when you make your dumplings and whatever with it, it feels that way. So yeah, now you can make a dumpling kind of thing with the okara, and you can boil it. By the way, when you're making it, you can add what you call it now, coconut condensed milk to it, or if you don't have coconut condensed milk, you could knead it with coconut cream, or you could knead it with soya cream or whatever cream you want to use and knead it, right? To knead it to form a dumpling dough. This, you could boil it and then you make like a custard and serve this with the custard and some cherry sauce as well, or you could make sorrel sauce. You know the sorrel? I don't know if you know sorrel. Africa, it's in Africa, it's in Jamaica, the Caribbean. It's a fruit, it's a flowers that bears around Christmas time.
Hibiscus. Hibiscus in
Yes, it is actually from the hibiscus family, right? So that too I used to make the coolest. So I bring that to a boil. In fact, the pulp that everybody normally throw away, I throw that in the blender with some water, or if you ever have apple juice, right? Somebody gives you a box of apple juice or so. I blend it together with it. With water is fine. And so when it comes, it has, when you use it to make the sorrel juice for the holiday season, you normally have in it your ginger, you normally have it some piment or so. I throw everybody in the blender and blend everything. And I add the sweetener to that. And then I add the cornstarch or the agar and make again a coulis, which I can put on top of my cakes. Because out here, I don't have much berries in Jamaica. So like you have strawberry, blueberry. I've heard that strawberries grow in Jamaica, but they're up in the mountains where it is cool. I don't have that, and I don't go into the mountains. Not as yet. Right? So I don't have the blueberries. I don't have all of that stuff. I have to buy them frozen, which, you know how that goes. Firstly, they're imported. They're not even grown here. So frozen, the price is like through the roof for frozen food. It's like, seriously, I could do better things with my money. So I use what I have here locally, right? And when sorrel is in abundance, I buy the sorrel. In fact, next time when the season comes around, I'm just gonna buy and store in my freezer for future use. So when it is not in season, I can have it. I just use, if apples are in season, any fruit whatsoever. So if apples are in season, I blend the apple, and Jamaican apple is different from UK apple now. It's called Otaiti apple. It's red on the outside and it's pure milky white on the inside. Different texture, shapes more like a pear rather than our typical apple. What I do, I blend this apple and so I chop it up, throw it in my blender, and I squeeze lemon juice on it. And it retains the color, and it's a beautiful pink liquid that you get. And this I can add my agar to, or preferably for this purpose, my cornstarch. And then I pour this on top as well of my cheesecake, or I use this in with my cheesecake mixture. It gives it an amazing color and presentation. My fruits like my papaya, I have that in abundance, so I use that as well. Things like avocado, I will use, but I never ever cook the avocado because nothing tastes worse than cooked avocado, right? Cooked avocado tastes like when somebody lights green bush, and it tastes so bad. Right? So, but what I do, what did I do? How did I do? I make the avocado, lime and avocado cheesecake. I don't remember how I did it, but, oh, I think I may have just sliced up the avocado, put it on the top, make the coolest, like maybe with coconut water. You can make the coolest with coconut water, and then you pour that over avocado. But all I can tell you is that when you cook avocado, you can't taste anything that tastes worse. That's like medicine. That's like the avocado seed.
Davina, do you use rose apples?
I don't see any as yet since I've come, but you can use rose apples because it will give you a nice, beautiful pink. Yeah.
When you make the sorrel for the holidays, do you strain the liquid and then you use the trash to make the coulis for the cake?
Yeah. And I make the sorrel cake as well.
So all your fruits, you just use it as you make a coulis.
You can make it, yes, okay. All of them, any one of them. So
your Jamaican apple in the islands, for me in St. Vincent, it will be plum rose.
Okay, yes, yeah. I know we have different names for them in different parts of the Caribbean. The jackfruit is another beautiful one that is and the mango, because they are so thick. When you make like the mango puree, it is so thick and rich. You make a coulis with the mango puree. Oh, you're on for a winner. All right, the jackfruit as well. Okay, so those are some beautiful colors, right? So if you can get your something red, so for you can use your berries. You can use strawberry. England, you've got is it blackberry that grows wild. So when it comes about August, September, October, you can walk and pick blackberries, it is, from the roadside. Right. When I was in the UK, I used to pick bags and bags of those, and I used to use them at the cafeteria for dessert. So I just go to the bush, put my gloves on, because obviously those trees are protective. They have a lot of thorns to protect their fruits. I put my gloves on, double them up, and I go with a big bag, and I just pick berries, and I throw them in the fruit salad, and I use them up until the season is finished or until it's too cold. And I do the same for home, and you can use them. When you have them, you can use those for your coulis. They make a beautiful coulis. And the thing is, when you use a cornstarch with coulis, it does not change the color or the texture of the coulis. No, it changes the texture completely. It doesn't change the color, and it doesn't affect the taste. And what you want for your coulis is the fruit, a little sweetener, and the cornstarch. That's just a basic. When I throw like vanilla in it, or I may throw lime in it, or some cinnamon or something, just for added flavor, depending on what base is going with it. But there you go, some nice things. I would like to see some homework coming through, where somebody tries some dessert. And you've got the cookies, and we probably make some sweet cream, right, to go with the cookies. And you have your okara balls that you could also make. So there goes.
When's this homework for?
Tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Should we
don't feel pressured. Just do the homework before the course finish, so I can see it.
Do we bake the cheesecake, or it should always be like a raw?
Oh, the cheesecake that I'm talking about is raw cheesecake, but you can always bake your cheesecake, but after it is baked, then you pour the coulis on the top.
Davina, it's Abigail. Guess what I'm eating today?
What are you eating, Abigail? It looks like falafel.
No, it's okara.
Oh, really? Well done, Abigail.
I took them out of the freezer yesterday, and I just find it funny that you're talking about them today while I'm having them for dinner. with my salad that Mousse did last night.
All right, you did your salad, love. Well done, excellent. It looks good.
No.
Lucy, it's now over to you. Please save me.
Thanks, Davina. Well done.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, you've covered so much within these 2.5 hours. It was just impressive to watch. Alexandra, I see your hand is up. I will allow you to ask your question or comment. Meanwhile, if you need a comfort break, this is the time to take the comfort break.
Yes.
Also, get a notepad, get a pen, because we are going to talk about two very important aspects of cooking. One, the oils that we use, and two, ways in which we can preserve food. So Alexandra, please ask your question.
Yes, hello. I would like to ask, when do I stop boiling the bean? Is
it thick? Let me see the consistency.
It's a little bit thick. It's got a little bit of curd, but it's kind of dissolved into, it's a lot less liquid, obviously, because a lot of it's evaporated.
Yeah, it needs to evaporate because it needs to get thick. So when you pour it in, it will set. Otherwise, if it's still liquid, you will still get tofu, but it will be a bit soft.
Okay, so when do I pour in? When it gets totally thick, or
let me see a spoon. Let me see how it coats the back of the spoon. Can you turn your camera?
Yeah. Can you see?
No, I can't see it.
Yeah, can you put the camera out, Karina? Let's see. Can you put the camera? Yeah, there, where you are.
There.
Okay, yeah.
Oh man, it's watery. No, that's not thick yet. It's not even near.
Okay, so how long? It's really watery because I put 1 cup to 4 cups. In the start, I put one cup of beans to 4 cups of water. I think that's what you said on the what do you call it, on the talk that you did, on the audio that you did.
All right, it needs to boil down more. It's too thin. You saw the video I just showed. It should be thicker, sort of coat the back of the spoon kind of thick. So when it touches the back of the spoon, right, and you take the spoon out, you should slide your hand across the back of the spoon, the back. You should be able to slide your hand across the back of the spoon, and it makes a line, and a few seconds before it comes back together. So the line should stay.
Okay, so it'll take a little bit longer then.
Yeah, keep boiling it. The thing is, it's funny because normally the white bean, it is normally, I was gonna say horrible bean, but I don't want to say a horrible bean. It is a very fibrous bean that when you boil it, it just keeps getting thick and thick and thick, and you have to pour water. So I'm very surprised that yours is this thin after boiling so long.
Yeah, me too. I don't know what's happened. I didn't know.
For my white bean, I use 5 cups of water and still have to add water while it is being boiled.
Yeah, I used 1 cup to 4 cups of water, and it's still all watery.
So
it may be because you had told us to put it on a low heat.
No, I had it on 9 maximum, and I've put it down now to 3 because it's actually evaporating to nothing.
Okay. Mine did actually boil.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I need to interject here.
Yeah.
And protect all of us. So
keep boiling it. Just keep boiling it.
Okay, right. So I am going to start off by talking about oils. This is an issue that troubles us many a time. People will ask, what is the best oil to use when cooking? What is the use of extra virgin olive oil? What are some of the challenges with using certain kinds of oils in our cooking or in our baking, etc.? So today, I'm just going to do a very quick run through of the kinds of oils that we ordinarily use on, in our cooking on a day-to-day basis. And maybe some may be more familiar to us than others. And I'm just going to talk you through the different kinds of like maybe just 9 oils. I'll limit this to 9 oils today, but as a way of stimulating your thinking and opening up ideas to using maybe oils that you have never used before. And once we are done with that, it will take maybe about 10-15 minutes for me to just give you that overview. We will then move on and look at ways in which we can preserve food. Davina already talked about the fact that in most places where we live, certain kinds of fruit or even nuts or vegetables are seasonal. So how then do you preserve your strawberries, your blueberries when they are in season, such that you can derive benefit from them throughout the year? Sometimes you have vegetables, like I grow my own garlic and I love using garlic in my cooking. But obviously garlic only grows at certain times of the year. Where I am, you can only harvest garlic twice. So how then do I preserve my harvest such that I'm able to continually use fresh garlic in my cooking, or to use organic garlic that I have grown myself? The same with tomatoes, the same with some of the herbs that we grow. So we will also touch on that and hopefully do all this within the 15 minutes that is left almost before it is time to end the lesson. So I'm going to share my screen now. It's a basic table that I've done, but which we can look at and I can talk you through. Right, so can you see this well, or it's too small?
It's too small, sorry.
All right, that's fine, don't worry. I will share it on the WhatsApp group later, okay? So, but let me see if I can zoom it. Uh-oh, it's too big now. 150. Right, is that better?
A little bit.
Hello. Okay, let's try 200.
A little bit.
Now that should work, right?
That's good.
A little bit,
Yeah,
only a
that's
little
better.
bit.
Much
Yeah,
better.
I think this is fine. Yeah, I think this is fine. So I'm going to just walk you through. Okay, take notes, but don't try and reproduce this. I will share this on the WhatsApp platform. Right, so oils. We have many different kinds of oils that are at our disposal. A lot of us, the oils that we use are store-bought oils. But one thing that I would like to advocate for is that let us start experimenting with making our own oils, okay? But I am going to make this presentation based on the kinds of oils that are commercially available that you could easily buy. So the first type of oil I want to talk about is rice bran oil. And this is made from the rice husk as well as the rice germ sometimes. Remember our presentation on grains? The 3 parts of a grain are the husk, the endosperm, and the germ itself. So rice bran oil is normally made from brown rice. Now there's different ways in which it is made. First of all, you can get it cold pressed, but you would have to know the manufacturer or have confidence in the company that claims that its rice bran oil is actually cold pressed. And then it can also be chemically extracted. So they will use a solvent to extract the oil from the husk, and then sometimes they also use distillation. The flavor is a mild, nutty flavor. The beauty about rice bran oil is that it contains no carbohydrate, but it also contains vitamin E. So this oil is good for use when you are using high temperatures for cooking, which again is something that we don't encourage generally. But sometimes you will have that rare occasion where you want to do a stir fry or deep fat frying, try and steer clear of deep fat frying.
Before you switch tables now.
Can we just kindly make sure all our mics are muted, please? Okay, so rice bran oil contains many nutrients. Davina, can I please ask you to just mute everyone and then I will unmute myself.
Sorry, you called me?
Yes, please just manage the mics. I think some people were speaking.
Okay, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, Lucy.
Thanks, Davina. Okay, so what I'm saying is that rice bran oil is very rich in nutrients and vitamins, which is one added advantage that you have when you use rice bran oil. And it's also used in cosmetic and skincare products as well as a carrier oil. Now, there is something that is known as smoke point, which is the temperature at which oils begin to break into free fatty acids and start producing smoke. So when you are cooking, generally, you want to choose those oils that have a higher smoke point than lower smoke point oils. Secondly, when you are cooking, you want to use your lighter oils than your heavy oils. Okay, so those are some tips that I can give you about the use of oils. Consider smoke point and also consider, is this a light oil or a heavy oil? So rice bran oil is one, and it is one that is often used in stir frying, as I said, or deep fat frying. It also means that the higher the smoke point, the less harmful the, because when the oil then interacts with the food that you are cooking, sometimes you then have, as the oil begins to interact and degenerate, or separate rather, you can have some harmful aspects of the oil interacting with the heat. So you really want to make sure that even when you are frying, don't fry at high temperatures, but use a high smoke smoke point oil all the same. The second oil is sesame seed oil. Again, I like sesame seed oil for cooking on high temperature because it also has a high smoke point. Now you will notice that the unrefined sesame seed oil, the one that is extracted often traditionally, will have a lower smoke point than the refined one. So you can see that the range is from 177 degrees Celsius, all these are degrees Celsius, to 230. So the higher the smoke point of your sesame seed oil, it is more likely to be a refined oil and therefore less pure and less wholesome than the mechanically or manually extracted one, cold extracted one. You can use it for cooking. You can also add it to dressings, sauces, dips. For instance, if you want to make maybe your your hummus, right? And you want to enhance the nutty flavor. Instead of using a quarter cup or half cup of olive oil as we did, you can try and use a quarter cup sesame seed oil and then a quarter cup olive oil. And that will enhance the nuttiness of the hummus. Bearing in mind that we already have tahini in there. And of course, tahini is derived from sesame seed. It is also good for marinating as well. The next kind of oil that I want to talk about is almond oil. It is again a nutty oil. And as I talk about it, in some countries you have macadamia nut oil. We get that a lot here in Zimbabwe because we actually grow macadamia nuts. And more often than not, the kind of oil that you will get, whether it's almond or macadamia nut oil, tends to be cold pressed because these are classified as specialty oils. So you ordinarily will get them in maybe at most 500 milliliter bottles as opposed to the 1 liter or the 2 liter bottles. And it has a nutty flavor. I would ordinarily use almond oil more again as, when you're making sauces or dressing, or sometimes a bit of it in baking. I forgot to add that there. I will amend this before I share on the group. Okay, now the next oil that I would like us to look at is avocado oil. A lot of us have the perception that avocado oil is extracted from the avocado seed. But actually, it is unlike many of the other oils. Avocado oil is not extracted from the seed. It is actually extracted from the avocado flesh itself. What is most amazing about avocado oil as well is that it is so simple to make. You can actually make this at home yourself. Yesterday, I sent someone to buy me some avocado, hoping that I would make the oil to show you today. But unfortunately, she didn't know what I wanted to use it for. And so she bought the very firm avocado that still needs to ripen. But it's a very simple and straightforward process. We will show you how, or send you a video of how you can make your own avocado oil. What I like about making your own avocado oil as well is that avocado oil is so expensive. At least where I live, it's very expensive. And yet when you look at the process of making it, you then ask yourself, what is the justification of all this money that is charged? So how then do you use avocado oil? You can use it in cooking. You can cook with avocado oil, but I would not cook with avocado oil because of the cost. And I prefer to use it more in dressings. Or again, if you're making something like your hummus, you can...
Hi, reading.
Nikki, please mute yourself.
Password.
Nikki?
Yes?
Kindly mute yourself, please.
Oh.
Thank you. So yeah, I would use avocado oil more as a dressing than I would in cooking. The next oil is coconut oil. And I think Dr. Craig talked a lot yesterday about the merits and demerits of coconut oil. And I am not going to go into much more detail about that, except to say that for those people who live in tropical countries, you can actually make your own coconut oil, or find, these old ladies or local people that know how to extract coconut oil. It's a lengthy process, but again, it's something that is quite doable. I would encourage all of us, where we can, let us buy traditionally extracted oils or oils that are cold pressed. And perhaps if you want to take this oil making endeavor to the next level, you can buy your own oil press at home. You can buy domestic countertop oil presses these days and start expressing your own oils and using those, and then maybe bottling and selling to family and friend, or gifting to family and friends. And if you are going to gift, please consider me on your gift list. I will gladly receive oils made by students from this class. So coconut oil, you can find the traditionally extracted one. And these days, you can also get coconut oil that has a neutral flavor. And oftentimes people use it for cooking. But coconut oil is best when you are sauteing something or roasting, as well as baking. I would not use it for stir fries, etc., because remember, when you're stir frying, you're using high heat. And you will notice that coconut oil has a slightly lower smoke point than, say, our rice bran oil. Rice bran, I think, is actually around 230. And your sesame seed oil, most of us normally buy the refined one, which again is going to have a higher smoke point than coconut oil. So bear that in mind. When you are using coconut oil for cooking, best to use it for roasting, baking, and sauteing. Now, the next oil is extra virgin olive oil. Now, you will notice that I am focusing on extra virgin olive oil because so many of us spend top dollar buying extra virgin olive oil, and then we take it into our kitchens and we use it for cooking. Now, the purer, so when I'm talking about pure, I'm talking about cold pressed, unrefined. The olive oil is, the lower the smoke point. I've often come across people complain that, oh, I use olive oil in my cooking, in my frying, and what I find is that my food is somewhat burnt, especially if you're making falafel. Don't use olive oil for frying your falafel. Even though you are not frying it at high heat, olive oil is a heavy oil. Extra virgin olive oil is heavy, it's thick, and it does have the tendency of giving you that burnt finish. In any case, really, extra virgin olive oil, the unrefined extra virgin olive oil, is not what you use for cooking. There are blends, olive oil blends that you can use, or semi-refined olive oils that you can use. But even then, you will find that those with a higher smoke point, the smoke point will be just slightly over 200 degrees Celsius. So personally, I often say I discourage people from cooking with olive oil. It is good, it is perfect for dressings, for dips, as well as for preserving whatever foods you have made. And we'll talk about that when we talk about food preservation. The next oil is sunflower oil. Again, this is something that you can quite easily make on your own if you have an oil press, right? And so, okay, let me mention this. Now, what's the difference between cold pressed oils and hot pressed oils? Because a lot of these press machines will come with a cold setting and a hot setting. The difference is that the cold pressed setting extracts less oil from the seed or the nut because it is not heated. The hot pressed method heats up the nut a bit, and therefore it releases more of its oils. Now, it is a no-brainer that someone who is in the oil pressing business is going to want to optimize or maximize the yield per ton or for kg of oil that they express. So more often than not, these companies will go, even if they are pressing their oils, it will be hot pressed oil and not cold pressed. So when you buy an oil press yourself and you start expressing your own oils, go for the cold press. It retains more of the flavors and the nutrients that you find in the oil than the hot pressed method. Now, sunflower oil is good for frying. It has a high smoke point, 232. Baking, as well as searing. It's very good if you're searing your tofu before you put it in the oven or under the grill. Now, there is again a wide range of smoke points here because if you get an unrefined sunflower oil, it's going to have a lower smoke point. The higher the degree of being refined, the higher the smoke point. And then the last oil that I want to talk about is peanut oil. Apart from Middle Eastern cuisine, I love Thai cuisine. Yeah, it is one of my favorites. And they tend to use, a lot of the Asian countries tend to use peanut oil in their cooking. It has a nutty sweet flavor, fantastic, excellent for stir fries, as well as sauteing your vegetables. I like it because it also then adds that added nutty flavor to your food. So you can get cold pressed peanut oil, but you can also get refined peanut oil, which again explains the wide range of smoke points that you see there. So in a nutshell, I thought it is good to share some of these oils. For some of us may not have been familiar with some of them. My encouragement is start investing in some of these oils, experiment with them. Try different oils for different dishes and see what results you get. And then you will find the oil or the oils that work best for you in your cooking. I will take, maybe it's 9 o'clock. Allow me to take a couple of questions, and then we will quickly maybe spend like 10 minutes talking about methods of preserving our foods. Alexandra, I see your hand is up.
Yes, can I ask you, what does refined mean?
Okay, so refined is a manufacturing process that really heats up the oil and extracts most of the good nutrients out of it. What refining does is it also extends the shelf life of your oil, which is something that I didn't talk about. So you find that your less refined oils will have a shorter shelf life than your higher refined oils. So the process of refining really is removing all those things that would make the oil go rancid early. One oil that lends itself to going rancid within a very short space of time is flaxseed oil. So if you're going to buy flaxseed oil, which again, you don't cook with flaxseed oil, you add it to your salads and whatever, you need to consume it within, like maybe a 2-month window or a 3-month window. The longer you keep it, the less beneficial it is. Any more questions? No questions. Okay, let's now move. Yes.
Sorry about that. What about using oil when you are overweight? How would you instruct someone cooking with oil and overweight? Would you say oil is good for that? Or would we just stay away if we're overweight?
Okay, now I think Davina has said this a number of times on this course. Generally, let me not say discourage. We encourage people to use less frying methods when they are cooking. We also encourage people to reduce the amount of oil that they use, even when they need to use oil. That is a general, for everyone. Use less oils in your cooking. However, for your dressings and dips, etc., certain oils are very beneficial. For instance, your rice bran oil, your sesame seed oil addresses so many health challenges that we have. I'll encourage you to read up on the uses of sesame seed oil, for example, in addressing some of these diseases, lifestyle diseases that we suffer from. So I come from a school of thought that says, do not totally eliminate anything, because the plant oils that I've talked about, right, are not your highly refined oils, and they are beneficial, but use them sparingly, use them in their raw state rather than in their, cooked state. I don't know if that has addressed your question. Okay, right, now, let's move on in maybe 10 minutes, just breeze through methods of preserving our food, or rather preserving some of the foodstuffs that is seasonal or that we have made and we want to extend their shelf life. I am going to speak to the most popular ones first, and then maybe if we have time, I can then talk about others. So first of all, most of us, when we buy our fruits and when we buy our vegetables, how do we normally preserve them? So perhaps you've harvested strawberries and you have a whole basket full of strawberries. How do you normally preserve your strawberries and other fruit? Your mango, your papaya?
We freeze them.
Freeze? Who said freeze them? Pat.
Pat, yes.
Pat, are you a mind reader? Because that is the most straightforward one of all, right? So berries freeze very well. And then there are other fruits like your mango, your pineapple, that also freeze well. So this is like food preservation 101, go to freeze. Your vegetables as well. There are certain vegetables that lend themselves very well to freezing. Your sweet corn, your carrots, the typical, your broccoli, your cruciferous vegetables generally. The ones that we often buy at the supermarket, peas. Peas freeze so well. I just love freezing peas. My mom grows peas, I don't. And whenever I go home, I buy packets and packets from her. I bring them here, I freeze them, and I use them throughout the year. So freezing is very good. But when you freeze your vegetables, make sure that you use strong Ziploc bags. Also make sure that you freeze them in, portions that you are going to use. Don't be like me, who's just frozen strawberries, and because I use strawberries as an ingredient in some of my products. I bought a whole 10 kgs of strawberries from some farmer, and my freezer space is limited. So I ended up freezing like 2 kgs of strawberries in one Ziploc bag. And now when I need to make whatever I need to make, I need to take them out, mash them on my countertop, get out what I need, and then, do up the Ziploc again and put it back in the freezer. If you can, freeze in the portions that you use your frozen vegetables in. Also, you don't want to thaw and refreeze. So freezing is one method. How else do people preserve their fruit and vegetables? Talk to me.
Dehydrate.
We expected Myrtle to say that.
Hydration.
Right? Yes. So again, dehydration is probably the second most popular one. All our grains that we buy in supermarkets, that's how they are preserved. They are put out in the sun to dry, extract the moisture from there, and then they are packaged. And we know that our grains will keep sometimes for 2 years, 3 years, depending on how well they generally hold. But some of our legumes, for example, beans are also preserved that way, aren't they? They are dehydrated. But again, if you are not careful and they are whole beans, sometimes you start getting weevils in there. So our grains are preserved through dehydration. You can also dehydrate your vegetables, your carrots, your leeks. Any vegetable can be dehydrated. And in most cases, you can use the sun to dehydrate, or you just leave them in a covered like patio or something. As long as it is hot, the temperatures are high, but it is not under direct sunlight, dehydration will still take place. So the moisture will evaporate because of the heat. So dehydration is the second method. Now, these days you can go high tech and buy a dehydrator. You have seen Myrtle's dehydrator. That will help you to control the dehydration process to make it more hygienic. And yeah, you can dehydrate practically anything in those dehydrators, right, Myrtle?
Correct.
Yes. Now, you can also use your oven to dehydrate. Your fruit especially. I'm not sure about vegetables, but definitely your fruit you can dehydrate in the oven quite easily. Right, third method. How else do you preserve your fruit and veg?
Canning.
Yes, Brother Max. Canning is the third method, right? Those of you who grew up on farms or who do country living, you do a lot of canning. So when you can, there's two ways. Some people and most people actually use glass, right? So you will use those mason jars. It is important to sterilize them thoroughly first, because that sterilization will ensure a bacteria-free environment. It is also important that you are very careful about how you handle the food when you transfer from the pot into your jar. Some people use conventional cans. What do you call those cans? You know, the metal cans. You know the cans I'm talking about? Yes. Most of our canned vegetables are canned in those tins. Tins, that's what they're called, tins. But I would encourage that we move away from those tinned things, because in them, there are some preservatives that are used to preserve and extend the shelf life. Whereas you can quite comfortably can your own vegetables and fruit in mason jars. And remember, when we do this ourselves, you are canning just enough for your family and maybe friends. And so it's going to last you, and you're going to use it up before it actually goes bad. Now, as we talk about canning, so there are some fruits, for example, if you have done your coulis, your stewed fruit, which we do not encourage generally, the fact that you've added a sweetener in there, especially if you add honey, that honey will act as a preservative, and therefore it will extend the shelf life of your fruit, as well as the sterilization that you have done. In certain instances, especially with things like garlic, your sweet peppers, and some of your herbs as well, you put them in the mason jar. You can again either add honey, you can add lemon as a natural preservative, you can add an oil. And this is where your extra virgin olive oil comes in very, very handy. But what you need to do is to make sure that the liquid covers the fruit or the vegetable that is in there. Have the oil or the liquid, whatever liquid you're using, cover the fruit and the veg. Then you seal it and you keep it like that. Now, once you open it and start using it, you need to consume it within maybe 7 days to 14 days. And you may need to refrigerate it. Right. Any other methods of preserving that you normally use or that you are familiar with?
Pickling.
In the olden days, they used salt.
Yes. In the olden days, salt was used a lot in preserving foodstuffs, especially our meat. But we don't eat meat anymore. So what you can do, when you dehydrate your vegetables, Anna is laughing. When you dehydrate your vegetables, especially if you're going to do it in open air or something, you can sprinkle some salt, like coarse salt or something, because that again is a natural preservative. So you then have a double process of preserving there. You have the dehydration itself, and then the salt becomes that added preservative that you can add. Any other?
Pickling, which would be the same as salt as well. Huh?
Okay.
Smoking in the outdoor kitchen.
Yeah. Yes, smoking is another way of preserving stuff. And one thing that I enjoy a lot is smoked tofu. But I know, there's controversy around whether we should smoke our food or not. Some people will say, oh, smoking has all these, it causes cancer and what have you. I don't want to go into that debate today, okay? But yes, smoking is a way of preserving, especially, as I said, tofu is one that readily comes to mind. You can smoke your tofu. It enhances the flavor. It extends the shelf life. I can go to town about smoked tofu, but that is not what I'm talking about today. And then someone was talking about pickling. Okay, so traditionally when we pickle, what is the one ingredient that we normally pickle with?
Vinegar.
Vinegar, okay. So now in this course, we discourage the use of vinegar. If you want to use vinegar, you can maybe try apple cider vinegar. But guess what you can use in place of vinegar? What can you use?
Limes and lemons.
Perfect, limes and lemons. So don't feel that you can't pickle anything anymore. You can just use your lime juice or your lemon juice.
And Madam Mousse,
yes, ma'am.
I'm thinking, it just crossed my mind in terms of smoking. like
Mhm.
your garlic and onions and certain vegetables, you could hang them in your outdoor kitchen, and it's good for smoking and it preserves its life. That's what I can remember back in the days with my grandmother.
Absolutely, Max. Absolutely. That actually is a brilliant, brilliant suggestion right there. Those of you who are blessed to have outdoor kitchens. Yes, I mean you know how you can do what you call these things, a bag of garlic. So you have like 4, 5 bulbs of garlic in this net kind of thing, and then you just hang them. Same with your onion too. Yes, brilliant, brilliant suggestion. I want to come back to, someone was talking before Max came in. I think we're still talking about pickling. Okay, no comment. Right, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, carry on. Jay
Sorry,
John.
I do a bit of pickling. I use eggplant, and I use it with a bit of salt and lemon juice, and it comes out really, really well.
Oh, nice. Are you able to share that recipe with us on the WhatsApp chat, please?
Amounts, please.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's talk about herbs a little bit. How can we preserve our herbs? We normally dry them. How else can we preserve our herbs? Freeze them. Freeze them, yes. How else?
I put it in the oils.
Yes, absolutely. So you can infuse your oil and have like rosemary infused oil. You can have basil infused oil, garlic infused oil. So what you are now doing is you are extracting the flavor from those fresh herbs into the oil, and then you will now use the oil, which will carry the flavor of whatever you have infused it with.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Myrtle.
Is there a particular oil that's best for the infusion?
Okay, so people will often go to olive oil. I often use, but I use coconut oil for citrus infusion, not necessarily herbs. So citrus and maybe things like your lavender and your rosemary. Almond oil is also a very good oil. So your carrier oils, basically grapeseed oil is also good to use in infusing with herbs, etc. Alexandra, your hand is up.
Yes. Can you put different herbs in one jar with olive oil to infuse it? Can you mix them?
If you're going to use maybe mixed herbs, yes, you can. If you want to come up with an Italian seasoning trio, you can. But I would discourage, remember, so you have your, what you call them, your earth herbs, etc., which we can't get into now. So I would be very careful about, so mix those that belong together. You know what I mean? Don't go and take thyme, rosemary, and mix them together. It's, I would discourage it. However, experiment with it and see how you go. It also depends on what you want to use the infused oil for. Because remember here, we're talking about preserving what we grow in our gardens, preserving what is available in season. And sometimes you may not always necessarily be using it for cooking.
Thank you.
For instance, I talked about infusing citrus. I use a lot of citrus. I make skincare products as well. I make my own body lotions, body butters, etc. So when oranges are in season, I take the orange peel, I will make citrus oil, and I know my go-to is coconut, and maybe sometimes I use shea butter, and I will infuse so that I have my own citrus oil. And then throughout the year, when I can't get the citrus, I am still able to use the oil. So yeah, it depends on what you are going to use that infusion for.
Sister Boozy,
Yes.
about the citrus oil, the citrus, like how we use so much lemon this week. What I usually do is to freeze the lemon skin when I finish squeezing the juice. I would freeze that in the freezer and for a day or two, and then I grate that rind from it. Because when it's frozen, it tends to grate better than if it's not frozen.
Absolutely.
So I will grate the rind from that, and then I would save it. Is that the way you do the same with the orange, to put it in the oil?
Okay, so sometimes I just freeze it as whole peel. So as I peel my orange, I'll just put it in a Ziploc bag and freeze. Because for me, when I make my infused oil, I can just take the large pieces of the citrus peel, whether it's nachi or grapefruit or orange, and put it in the oil. It's much easier to manage that way than the grated one. Because eventually at some point, after you've double boiled your oil, you need to strain it.
Right.
And so the finer it is, the more hectic it gets. And yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes. But what you are saying about the grated lemon rind, especially, is you can also use it in your dressing, right?
Yeah. I use it in cakes. Like if I bake a cake, and I will use it for in the cakes, in my cheesecakes, whatever cake I will use that will call for lemon rind or orange rind, then I would use it there.
Yeah. So that works. And then the other method that you can use as well is extraction. You can use extracts. You can make use your herbs, so you come up with whatever extract or vanilla extract and stuff. But then you would then need to use a non-alcoholic, what do you call it? Whatever, carrier. If you have serious aversion, okay. Let me not get controversial here. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, in a nutshell, I think we have covered two very important aspects of, ensuring that we have wholesome ingredients at our disposal when we need them. Let's preserve our fruits, vegetables, our grains properly. Let us also know what oils to use for what. Any burning questions before we conclude and end the meeting, or the lesson rather? So how come when it's me presenting, there are hardly any questions? And then when it's Davina presenting, you people want to interact with Davina. I also need that interaction. Speak to me.
You're so beautiful.
Oh.
I must say that I'm really enjoying the class for many, many reasons. And I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks to you and Sister Davina and Sister Myrtle. It's a very organized class, very inspiration, very challenging at the same time, maybe for others. And I just want to say thank you. What you have done today, it's powerful, because it's important to know our oils, whether it's omega-3, omega-6, what are we dealing with? And I'm really, really thankful. Thank you so much.
We are thankful for you too, but just tell me, what's your name again?
Alexandra.
Okay.
I'm Joanne. I'm Joanne.
You
J.
are
John.
Yes, J. John. That's what's on there. Okay, thank you, Joanne. But be that as it may, guys, also talk to me. I need the interaction. I need you to talk to me. Yeah. That's for Friday, though. It's too late for now. Any more questions, comments before we end the meeting?
Yeah, let me just waffle here. You talked about business. So if you want to business in those kind of topics that you spoke about, how do you go about it?
Okay, Mama Junior, I like that thinking. You and I should be friends. However, just hold your questions, write them down, The 4th week of the course is dedicated entirely to stimulating, challenging you, encouraging you to explore how you can take what you've learned from here and come up with a business. So can we park this question until the 4th week of the course, if you don't mind?
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you, Mom. Right, which brings me to addressing Valerie's question about the club. We are working on a registration form. Sister Loy is going to fill us in on that very soon, which you will use to register. Let me say, the subscription fee that was on the flyer that we shared last week is for you, the students of VeganTrition and the alumni of this program, and your 3 closest friends or family members. So I'm encouraging you to, if you want to join the club, take advantage of this members or intro subscription fee that we're offering to you, because you are our family, right? This club is being created for you, to service you primarily. We are launching on Sunday. Same time as we run the course, you are going to get an invitation, hopefully by end of tomorrow or Friday, that you can share with as many people as you care to, church friends, colleagues, etc. But we are launching on Sunday, and when we launch, at the launch, we are then going to unveil the regular subscription fee for those who want to sign up. So I really want to say to you, this is a pre-launch offer exclusive to you and your 3 friends. Take advantage of it. The form is going to be available, but in the meantime, reach out to myself, Myrtle, Davina, and and Sister Lord. Just register your interest so that when she then sends the registration link, she knows to include you in there. However, even if you don't want to sign up at the pre-launch price, you are still welcome to come to the launch and hear what the club will do in greater detail. We also have a very inspirational young pastor from South Africa who is going to be our keynote speaker. You don't want to miss what he has to say about the club and what we ought to do living in these closing chapters of Earth's history. So please, please, please clear your diaries. On Sunday, we will be launching. Valerie, I see your hand is up.
Yes, I've heard of this flyer, but I've been looking for it and I can't see it. So I really don't know anything about the club. So is it possible to post the flyer again?
Yes, ma'am, I'll definitely do that.
Thanks.
John.
The other thing is, what time on Sunday? Because I'm on a course on Sunday.
Okay, so it's the same time as we run the course, from 4 p.m. UK time to probably about 6 UK time. It will also be recorded. So if you miss the live launch, the new live, you will still be able to get it on recording.
Okay.
John.
Yes, sorry. Can we have, what's the fees for the club? What's the fees?
Hey, do I know what the fee is? I think it's £50 per annum if you pay in one go, or it's £5 a month, I think. I don't have the flyer in front of me, so don't hold me on this. Then USD is $70 if you're paying once off, and I think it's $7 if you're paying monthly. That is the pre-launch fee. Okay. So
is that yearly, monthly? What's that fee? It's monthly, yearly, daily? Wow.
Okay, so the $70 is annually for now, for you members.
The flyer is also on your website.
Mama Junior, please allow me to finish what I'm saying. So John, it's an annual once-off payment of $70 or $7 a month. But Mama Junior is saying the flyer is on the website. I will send the flyer again on the WhatsApp group as soon as we come off this call.
I appreciate it because I haven't seen the flyer as yet.
Okay, it's all right. We'll attend to that. Right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. It's been a highly productive lesson, I think. We've all learned how to make our own tofu. We no longer need to be going from one health store to the other looking for silken tofu or extra firm tofu and being in a crisis because we can't find the kind of tofu that we're looking for. Thank you very much, Sister Davina. I will hand over to you for closing the meeting and any announcements. Okay, I think maybe Davina is actually offline now. Right,
Can I
so.
ask a question? My hand's been up, Harriet.
Oh, I can see your hand up, Harriet, sorry.
That's right. What is for tomorrow? What are we doing for tomorrow?
I don't have the plan in front of me, but we will share that on the WhatsApp group. I can't recall offhand what we're doing tomorrow. Sorry, yeah, but it will be shared on the WhatsApp group.
Sister Boozy, I will be very late in my food demo. So if you see that they come in late on the WhatsApp, it's because I do it at night when I get home. So I work during the day, and while I'm working, I'm listening. But at night when I get home, I try to do what I can. So please bear with me as I post them. If you see my yogurt and all that stuff coming late, it's just because of working during the daytime. Thank you so very much.
That's fine. We understand that. And yeah, we appreciate the effort that you are making of being at work and also, tuning into the lesson itself. So no, it's fine. No problems at all. Okay. Shall I ask someone to close for us in prayer, please? A volunteer? Okay, let me pick on a gentleman so that we are inclusive. Brother Max, please pray for us. Okay.
Yes, sorry, I think my blender was going, so I may have missed something. Did you call my name?
Yes, I did. Okay, before you pray, Brother Max, Davina, announcements for tomorrow, please.
Oh, you mean what's a class for tomorrow? Tomorrow is what, Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
Is it frittata? Oh, cheese and milk and... Hold on. So tomorrow is the day you're going to learn to do your own butter, your own cheese as well. Butter and cheese, I believe. Let me just double check that quickly and give you... Go ahead and pray. Go ahead and pray. And let me give you this information afterwards, yeah?
Okay, thanks, Brother Max.
Okay, can you hear me clearly, everyone?
Yes. Yes.
Let us bow our heads for prayer. O Father and our God, indeed do we trust. We are thanking you for all the blessings that you have endowed upon us today. We are thanking you for what we have learned. And it's because of your love, your mercy, and your grace towards us that we will be able to do this. As time closes on Earth's history, may what we learn, we may implement it not just for ourselves, but for others. Continue to endow us in your blessings. Forgive us of our sins and our shortcomings, and may we look forward to your soon return, for we ask it in your dear Son's name, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Amen. All right, so for tomorrow's lesson, we have butters, and we will be doing garlic butter, normal vegan butter, as well as garlic butter, and we will also look at a nut butter, like your almond butter or your peanut butter. So if you have almond or peanut, you can use 1 cup or 2 cups. It's up to you how much you want to give it a try first, and then after you learn how to do it properly, you can go and do a whole barrel of nuts, right? So you will need a jar for your butters, and either almond or peanut. And we will do mozzarella cheese, and we will do cheddar cheese. So I will post the ingredients list in the class. If you haven't got lecithin, which is required for the butters, it's okay if you have not got it. But if you can get it, it would be good to have it, because that is what gives your normal butter that you would use for cake baking. That is what gives the butter its color, and it is also an emulsifier, meaning it connects the oil and the water together. It binds them together so they hold together and not separate, because oil and water are two different weights, and oil normally floats on top of water, right? So yes, so you will need lecithin. However, if you don't have it, we are still going to give your butter a try, because there's a way how we may be able to use the processing to actually emulsify it. What it will be in terms of long-term results, you will have to tell me afterwards, okay? Because I've always used the lecithin. All right. For your garlic butter, it will be the very same procedure, where you will need like how we curdle the milk today for the cheese, for the tofu. It's very similar procedure. You will curdle the milk. In fact, you can actually do it without curdling, but I find that a very good butter is when you curdle the milk, and then we blend that with oil. And for the butter, we use olive oil, we use avocado oil. There is one more oil, and coconut oil. So those three oils we use with the milk, and you do the curdled milk and some lecithin that gives it a buttery flavor and the buttery color. And of course, salt if you want salted butter. But if you want unsalted, so when you do it, you can always split your mixture in two, where you have some unsalted and some salted butter. Then now, or you may want to have more salted butter. Then now, from your salted butter, you're also going to split that mixture in two. And then from that, we're going to do garlic butter, garlic herb butter. So we're going to have, you want to have garlic powder, onion powder, or some mixed herb or Italian herb. Any one of them or any two of them can use in the garlic butter. So from the garlic butter, so from one mixture, you're going to get salted butter, unsalted butter, and then garlic butter. That's from one mixture. Everybody will be required to do the butter. Then another thing that we're going to do is your nut butter. And the nut butter, it can be your almond, right? Or you can use peanut, or let's see, what other nut do you have? You've used cashew in so many dishes. I'm trying to see if you could use other nuts besides cashew. You haven't used peanut much, and peanut is very cheap, and it is easily available, and it is much cheaper than other nuts. So peanut is a good one to use, and or the almond is good. You also have things like hazelnut. You have things like Brazilian nut. These nuts are more expensive, but you have your walnut and your pecan nut, which can also be used to make your nut butter. Now
yeah. So for people in Africa, I think macadamia nut is slightly cheaper than almond nut. So they can use macadamia and make macadamia nut butter. Actually, and that's what I'll do tomorrow.
And they do have a lot of peanut, isn't it?
Yes. Peanut, peanut is even more affordable.
Even more affordable, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
can you use sesame seeds?
Yeah, well, the same procedure that you will use for the nut butter. Yes, if you want to give that a try tomorrow, just the sesame seed to make tahini, yes, you can do that. It's a very same procedure that is used for the nut butters.
But Davina, we've already kind of made tahini yesterday, right?
Oh.
I think, yes, remember, for the falafel, for the hummus.
Yeah, I thought they bought tahini, no?
Some of them made it.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, so basically what I'm saying is, if they want to try a seed butter, maybe try sunflower seed.
Or pumpkin.
Or pumpkin, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that would be good. But Ideally, we're doing a nut butter tomorrow, but if you haven't got a nut or you're allergic to nut, then you can use a seed to make your butter. And if you've done the tahini already, then challenge yourself by doing something different. Whenever you come to this class, if there's a recipe that you always do yourself at home, and then there's another option to challenge yourself, always take on the challenge, right? That's how you grow. Now, spin-offs, something is burning. Spin-offs from the almond butter is you can have some cinnamon. Obviously, you will need to have your sweetener. So your 2 main or 3 main ingredients is a little pinch of salt, your nut, and some sweetener. Now, in addition to that, you can have some cinnamon or some nutmeg or some pumpkin spice that you could actually add to your nut butter to give it a really nice flavor, give it up, kick it up a notch. Also, you have your things like your carob, which you could add to it as well, which definitely does take it up even another notch, right? So there you go for your nut butter that we're gonna give a try tomorrow.
Remember to roast
Remember what?
to roast the nuts.
Oh yes, thank you very much, Myrtle. Any nut or seed that you're gonna do, you need to roast them before. And I don't mean roast them so they look like scorched meat now. I mean toast them in the oven. 15-20 minutes, right?
Maybe 10
Once
to
you
15
start
minutes.
smelling, when you put them in the oven, once you start smelling the nuts, it means that they are ready. So what you will do when you start smelling them, you're gonna go and you're gonna shake them around to get them on the other side, and then another 5 minutes in the oven. Then you're gonna take them out. Anything longer than that, after you smell them, you will be getting what's the word? Charred nuts. Okay, we don't want charred nuts for the class. We just want them toasted. When they're toasted, it releases the oils. Not only that, but it step them up a notch in terms of flavor. So you want to have your nuts roasted and cooled before class. So you roast them, you leave them out on the counter. They need to be cooled before they go in the food processor. And you will need a food processor for this recipe. So for the butter, you will need a blender. For the almond butter or the peanut butter, you will need a food processor. Then the next dish will be mozzarella cheese. Now, we're going to make, as far as I'm aware, according to what we normally do, we are going to do about 3 different types of cheeses. Mind you, I'm not the person who will be teaching you the cheese. So what I'm telling you today, you may get something slightly different for tomorrow, right? But just hear me out. We're going to make 3 different types of cheeses. Oh, 4, I think. Or maybe you'll get 1 for homework. We're gonna make mozzarella. Now, mozzarella cheese is the basic cheese that you put on your pizza that you normally have grated on top of pizzas. We're gonna make that. So that cheese is supposed to be a meltable cheese, right? When you put your pizza or you use that on your lasagna or you use it in your quesadilla or whatever you use it in, it should be one of the characteristics of that cheese is it should be easily meltable, right? Now, the other cheese that we're going to make is going to be a slice of a cheese. So it's going to be cheddar cheese. And you know, when you go in the shops, you see your cheddar is normally the cheese that you get in slice that you can put on your burger or you can put in your sandwich. Now, cheddar cheese comes in mild and they come sharp. And I mean, they have different levels of intensity that they come in. We're going to do mild cheddar cheese and we're going to do sharp cheddar cheese for this class. You will also need some turmeric. Now, some spin-offs that you can make from your cheddar cheese is, have you ever gone to like Sainsbury and look in the little posh section and you see some flavored cheese? For example, you may have cheese with cranberry in it or cheese with olives or sun-dried tomato or something like that. We will tell you, we'll talk you a little bit through that as well, how you could make some fancy ones. And then it's up to you if you want to give it a go. You never ever use too much of that ingredient, but you can also use the water from like your olives. You know that water from the olives, that salt brine water that has the olives flavor. You can use that water in your cheese mix. Your sun-dried tomato, you can use some of the oil. That I'm talking sun-dried tomato that is in oil. You can use some of that oil as well in your cheese. Even a little piece of sun-dried tomato can be chopped up using your cheese for additional flavor. Now, I believe we will also be doing, you know, the ball mozzarella cheese. Maybe we don't do that at class, but we can tell you how to do that, right? Because I'm not sure if we will have time to do everything, but that one you will need the glutinous rice flour for. So if you haven't got it, we're probably going to talk you through anyway, and you can do that at a later date in your own time. Now, I'm talking about the, you know, the bocconcini cheese or the baby mozzarella that it's normally in a tub of water when you go in the supermarket, like a tub of salty brine water. And that cheese, they normally just slice it. Most times when you see like tomato and mozzarella salad, that's the cheese that is used with a slice of tomato, a basil leaf, and baby mozzarella. It's normally very mild in taste, and it's normally like served on the saltiest side with like basil infused oil, which is something, by the way, you could all give a try to make your own basil infused oil. So we'll probably do something like that and show you a few dishes that it can be used in. So what basic ingredients that you will need for your cheese? You will need, get yourself tomorrow a couple cans of coconut milk. Get yourself some sort of turmeric. You can grab some yeast flakes as well. And if you don't use yeast flakes, what are some other things that you can use? I'm going to tell you other things that you can use after I finish this for the umami flavor. So you want to get a couple of carrots. And before class, you want to use these carrots to make the juice. So push them through your juicer and just make a juice before class, or blend them and strain them to make the juice. Agar powder you will need. You will need a plant-based milk with a high protein level. You will need lime or lemons, you know, whichever one. So you will need tapioca starch as well, or potato starch. What a potato starch does, it gives it a really stretchy, makes your cheese really nice and stretchy, right? Onion. So other things that you can use in your cheese to give it flavor is mixed herb, a little bit of honey for your sweet cheese. So if you want to make some sweet cheese later on as well, some spreadable sweet cheese, you can have some mixed herb, you can have some honey, garlic powder, onion powder. So you can have things like your olive extract. And for the olive extract, you can either buy it, or easily you can make it by just blending some olives with some water and oil, and then use a turkey baster. I mean, you may not have that in your kitchen, but you know that suction thing that I think you use it. Yeah. You know that turkey baster thing that sucks the stuff up. You can use that to suck the oil off the top of the water, because you know oil will always float on the top of the water. And once you blend it together, leave it there, it will just get the flavor of the olives, and then you use the turkey baster and suck that oil off the top. Mushroom powder, you can also use to help to give your cheese a umami flavor. Vegan miso paste, you can also use to give your cheese a nice umami flavor. And with that said, that is it for class tomorrow. I will forward this list. And I know I have said a few things that are not on this list, but if you have them, you will have them in your home for tomorrow. So the list.
Davina,
yes?
Can I just come in and encourage everyone to make the cheeses?
Oh,
because
yes.
our main dish on Friday is enchilada, and we will need cheese for that. So please, please, please make sure that you buy the ingredients. We make the cheese tomorrow so that Friday morning we can then all have our Sabbath dinner prepared, which will be enchilada.
I'm looking forward to that.
Someone was asking how many cartons of milk. How much milk?
It says 2 cans of coconut milk.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I forwarded the list. I have forwarded the list for Thursday.
I was just asking about the chat. There was something in the chat.
Okay, how many cartons? Okay, yeah. Okay.
Davina.
Yes, dear Alexandra.
What if you don't have agar powder?
Well, I'm telling you the truth. There's hardly anything you can substitute for agar powder. However, we will give it a go with the corn starch or the arrowroot. However, normally we use both arrowroot. No, not both arrowroot. Both cornstarch and agar. There's nothing that ideally replaces agar in a recipe. However, we'll give it a try with tapioca.
I'll try and get some tomorrow. I'll try and go to the shops and get some tomorrow then.
That would be fantastic. So
yeah, another question, a quick one. Do we soak the nuts?
No, you don't. You don't soak the nut. You toast the almond nut or whatever nut or seed you're going to use. You toast them before class and let them cool. Just remember for sesame seeds, if you have a fan-assisted oven, it will highly likely blow away your sesame seeds. So just bear that in mind when you're putting them in the oven to put them away, that maybe something over them, slightly paper, that they don't blow away. Because I don't know about anybody, but I've had that experience before.
I'm just thinking though, for the milk, right? If they want to make almond milk, they will definitely need to soak the almonds overnight.
Yeah, but there's no almond milk on this. I didn't mention any almond milk here. It's almond butter, peanut butter or almond butter. So if you're it's a butter day tomorrow.
Oh, it's not the milk day tomorrow. Okay, that's fine.
It's butter and cheese.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we could send a couple of videos. By the way, it's yeah. Boosie, could you do a voice note for the almond milk?
Yes, I can.
Yes, because and you learn how to do the bean milk today. So now you're gonna learn how to do the almond milk. We can give you the recipe for the almond and the cashew milk.
Yeah.
Almond. Yeah, Myrtle, maybe you could do a voice note for the cashew milk. Coconut milk.
I can voice note both the almond and the cashew.
All right. Yeah. Please voice note them, because we didn't get around to that the class when we did the yogurts. We should have done milks as well, but the time wasn't sufficient to do a practical so you could see how that is done. But in the voice note, they're very, very easy to do. And when you're at this stage of the course as well, it becomes easier for you to understand these things and follow them than when you just started on day one.
Davina, can I ask you a question?
Agar, is that the flakes?
These are the flakes, yes.
All right, so what has happened now is I've actually never used the flakes. I've only ever used the powder, and I know the ratio is different. But do me a favor for your homework.
Grind them.
Grind them and turn them into powder?
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Done? We can try that.
That's true, but I do believe there is a ratio though. But anyway, it's best to grind them so we don't have any headache.
I think
I'll see if it can be ground, yes.
Yeah.
And have you used anything like this, which is called
for the tofu milk? For milk?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used it today.
Oh, nice.
This is almond cow, so you can make any.
I like the cow.
Yeah. So it makes milk in less than a minute.
Wow.
Yeah,
I need to get one of those.
It's like the soya joy, but you gotta be careful. It actually puts out, the milk is thinner than when you make it.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, just do it twice. And
yeah, I have to put it through the cheesecloth.
Yeah. Just do.
Oh, so a lot of milk is lost in the fiber.
Yeah.
So you put it back through again. Well, if you put it back through again, then that's good.
Yeah.
But it's already cooked when you finish. The milk is already boiled when you finish.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow. So it's a one stone kill 3 birds.
That's right. You're just ready to drink straight away.
All right, cool. Sounds good. But no, I've never used one, but I know of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Me, I am old school. I don't have too many gadgets because they take up too much space in my tiny kitchen. Plus, I love the pots and the knife and the cutting board. But it's good to have some gadgets because it makes your life easier, especially when you're busy. Yeah. All right, lovely people. I know you all want to sleep here tonight, but oh, Bayesian Beauty. Okay, go ahead, and then Hannah.
All right. I think Hannah was before me, actually.
All right, Hannah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the agar because I've looked everywhere here where I live and I couldn't get the powder. So I found it in the Asian shop and it's got like a plastic looking glossy kind of look and looks similar to what Valerie was showing. So
Yeah,
I wasn't
so-
sure if she's showing the same because you call them flakes, but mine is like a long plastic kind of glossy look in a transparent plastic and it's written in Asian language, so I couldn't read it.
Ah.
But they
So-
told me that that's what agar looks like.
Yeah, so I know some of them is probably, I've heard that you've got them in like liquid or in the frozen section in the Asian shops. But that looks dry,
It was
what you've got
normal
there.
shell. It's not frozen. It's like a package, like a long-term package product.
So Hannah, what I would like for you to do is to do a little Google research and a little YouTube research. You could just check YouTube or Google to see what you call that dry agar strips. Call it agar strips.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, how do you use agar strips instead of flakes, instead of powder? Or how do you powder agar strips?
Right, I'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, lovely people. My dinner is looking at me. And I'm going to enjoy it. I've got two lovely young people here in my kitchen messing about. So let me go and rescue my share. Bayesian Beauty.
I have tried roasting my almonds because they've got the brown skins on and
Yeah.
they're not coming off.
No, you don't need to take them off.
I don't want brown butter.